Somebody said that you was good for me. 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 Somebody said that you was good for me.
Is we live? In the words of my girl, T.S. Madison, whores. Is we live? Hey y'all ain't whores. Good evening. Welcome to Breakdown, where we break it on down, break it on down, break down. We gon' break it on down, break it on down, break down. Hey, if you can hear me, if you can see me, please give me a 1 in the chat. I am excited to do our roll call tonight. You know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, you let the wheat and the tare grow together, then the wind will come through and do all the separating. And I'm telling you, your tribe, your vibe attracts your tribe, and I love it. Can't wait to do the roll call. Let me get my notes together. Y'all, we still talking about white people, and it is what it motherfucker is. Let me go ahead and get our breakdown going. I'm gonna let Mystical stay for a while. He doing his all unincarcerated. Oh, wherever you are. If I am way too loud, please let me know. Because I have it set to automatically adjust my volume, but I don't think it can keep up. Jermichael Riley, shout outs to Jermichael Riley, taught me how to open up my throat. Not like you think. I'll tell you who taught me that. But anyway, Jermichael Riley taught me. He was trained by Dorinda, the one and only, and he had us sing background oftentimes for Dorinda. Karen Clark Shear was one of his homegirls, and he taught me how to open up my throat. So sometimes it's difficult to close it back up, because once the mind is open, it can never be closed again. Message. Anyway, let me go on and get to this roll call. Thank you guys for the feedback. Continue to please give us feedback. You know you are the producers of this show. So let us know how we sounding. Let us know what we looking like. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to do our roll call real quick. And then we are going to do our tech checks. Check. I can never say it. Blue Butterfly, you actually caught alive. And I am so glad you are here. And you posted this at 9:11 p.m. 9/11 is the number of new beginnings. Out with the old and in with the new, Blue Butterfly. Welcome to the Breakdown crew. You've been holding it down in the replay gang now. I know, I'll be watching. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this doggone roll call started. Y'all, I hope you guys got a chance to see the pinned comment We're going to just agree on a definition of the word conspiracy tonight so that we can move forward intelligently and not be caught up in bullshit and semantics. Anyway, y'all know Rosetta always gets us started. Rosetta is here holding it down. So is Nigel. Nigel, you got that energy of the older or younger brother who makes the girls act right, makes the female cousins act right. Something about you just makes us act right. And I appreciate it. You got a lot of class. Blue Butterfly is in the building. Welcome, welcome. You haven't caught one in months. It's been a while since you've been here, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for loving the purple. You know, I'm actually wearing my mother's lipstick tonight. It is one of my favorites of hers. So thank you so much. Yes, and please, Rosetta reminded us, please don't forget that smash that like or dislike button. Please share, please comment, and please subscribe. Hello, Sassy Psychology and Saritha Robinson. Good evening, Tigerlicious. Good evening to you as well. Let me see if I missed anybody. All right, we are here. Yes, yes, yes. I love it when y'all catch the live. I reposted in the clips, you know, that's where the replay game comes in. But these lives, our lives be living. It's a whole different something, and I got a good show planned for us tonight. All right, y'all, we got our roll call out the way just in time. So I am going to bring Mystical on down. Goodbye, sir. I'll see you soon. All right, we are going to do our quick tech check. As you guys know, we started making time at the beginning of the show to go through the videos we're going to watch, making sure they present perfectly. You can hear them, you can see them. Everything is right, so we're not spending time on that stuff later on. So I appreciate you obliging me, humoring me as we do this part, because I noticed that in our last couple shows, it flowed so much better when we did our tech check at the beginning. And it makes it much easier for editing as well. So before we go through our house rules and I officially welcome you, let's go ahead and get some business out the way. Hopefully you guys were able to catch up on the videos that were added to the breakdown playlist this week to get us ready for this show. We're gonna use 2 of those videos tonight. Yeah, CBS News is on some bullshit, but we're not gonna take our foot off their neck. We stayed on Jag for months, and she did much less than CBS News. So anyway, before now, pretty much if you could hear Mystical, then I know we on the right track. But let me go ahead. We're gonna rewatch a video that we watched last week just to make sure we got our context right. Because as we keep our feet on their neck, we must keep our heels accurate. So let me go ahead.
To view
Tell me if you can
firsthand
hear
the
this
eerie remains
first.
of the
We'll start with
Titanic.
that.
It promised
Please
to be
give
quite
me
a
a 1
journey,
in the
quite a
chat if you were
story
able to
besides.
hear this lady in this badass
Maybe you've
blazer.
heard the story of the Titanic.
Can't wait for you to see her.
I think there was a movie about it.
I'm waiting for your
For
feedback.
the most part, the only people who've ever seen the Titanic since that night have
Blue
been
Butterfly said the
scientists.
conspiracy
Until
is that
now.
they waited till
It's a very
Wednesday
unusual business.
to announce an
Its own category. It's
implosion,
a
even though
new
they
type
allegedly
of
already knew
travel.
it
Captain
happened
Rush is the
Sunday.
CEO of OceanGate, a company that offers dives to the Titanic in a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible
That's one of
for
them.
$250,000
Y'all, let me know if you can
per
hear this
person.
video if you're
Who are
able
the
to.
typical
I'm not sure if you can.
clientele
Okay,
for
got you.
this business? We
Our
have
feedback comes
clients
late
that
here.
are
Hey, Puppet Master,
Titanic
welcome. You know it's not a party
enthusiasts
if
looking
you're
to go
not
through its
here.
Titanic.
Thank you for joining
We
us in
have
the
people who have
replays this week
mortgaged
as
their
well.
home to
I
come and do
enjoyed
the
you.
trip.
So if you can
And we have
hear
people who don't
this,
think twice about a
then
trip of this cost. We
let
had
me
one
know if you
gentleman
can
who had
see
won
it
the lottery.
too.
And this summer,
This
Rush invited
bitch
us
ass
to come
nigga.
along. We
This
departed from St.
bitch
John's,
ass good old
Newfoundland,
boy
Canada, the easternmost tip of North
murderer.
America, about
I
400
could say it.
miles
I'm
from the
not
Titanic.
monetized. There's a lot
Well,
I
the
can
last
say that
city of
your
land
other
for 8
favorite
days.
YouTubers can't say because they
Aboard a
depend on their
chartered oil
livelihood
rig
for
servicing
these
ship.
YouTube checks. I
During our
don't.
2-day journey into the North Atlantic, we got to
I
know our
don't.
fellow adventurers.
Hey Danny
They included
Cunningham,
everyone
welcome
from
back.
Indian industry mogul
All
Shreyas
right, so we
Baldota
got
Yeah,
we
they
got
call me a
that.
wild
If you're
monk.
able to
It's a
see
wild
this
monk,
one,
yeah.
please give me a 2. If you
Because
can see
I
this
look
dumbass
like a
nigga right
monk.
here,
I'm very calm,
who
but
the
I
wild
have these
monk,
extreme
this
interests.
idiot,
to bank
this
executive Renata
specialton.
Rojas.
If you can see
I'm
him,
trying to
please give me a
fulfill a
2 in the
dream
chat.
every
If you can see
morning
this
to go to Titanic and
stupid
see it with
whore
my own eyes.
who
Just
gave
before
up
they
two
found
hundred
it.
and fifty
She's been
thousand
saving
dollars to
up
take
to
a
see the
field trip under
Titanic
the
for
sea
30 years.
and still never saw what she
Dreams
wanted
don't
to
have a
see.
price.
And God bless her
Some
that she
people want a
didn't, because it
Ferrari.
probably would have ended up being a
Some people buy a
tragedy.
house. I
Bars.
wanted to go to Titanic.
Cheaply
But the
made
star of
from
the
the
show is the
start.
Titan, Stockton
Cheaply
Rush's
made. I'm still waiting
custom-built
to get some
submersible.
feedback on whether or not you
5-inch
guys
thick
can
carbon
see
fiber, capped
this.
and by a dome of titanium.
So please let me
If all
know.
went well, I myself
Hold
would be
on, I gotta
spending
do a
about
little moving
12
around
hours sealed
too.
inside on a dive to the Titanic.
I'm
Not
moving
gonna lie,
around too,
I was a little
so we could
nervous.
keep it fair
An experimental
use.
submersible vessel that has not been
All right,
approved
there
or
we go.
certified
Rosetta
by
got my
any
back. Thank
regulatory
you,
body
Rosetta.
and could result
Rosetta
in
said
physical
y'all can
injury,
see it.
disability, emotional
Rosetta
trauma,
said y'all can
or
hear
death.
it too, so that's awesome. And
We're
this
right
dude
side.
right here, he on my list tonight.
Oh,
That
take your
dude
shoes
right
off.
there is on my list tonight. I got a bone to pick with him and his inability to look directly in the camera. Okay. DoorDash. Puppet Master just clocked in and probably about to order DoorDash. I hope I get you started through the first part of your shift, picking up them bags, picking up them bones, making that money, getting that bread. Ain't out here scamming nobody, just doing what your mind can do to make money without getting arrested. Thank you, Sassy Psychology. I appreciate the feedback. Danny, you on point. Danny said it was barely good enough for 4,000 feet down. It was actually only rated for about I want to say 2 meters, not the 3 or 4 that were necessary. So we can see. Rosetta said, get them. So that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, I'm so glad y'all want to talk about this. I asked you a couple weeks ago. I asked if you want to talk about this. Y'all said you want to talk about this. And when you said you want to talk about this, I went full force, head in. I turned on my obsession button and I got all the tea. And I shared it all with you in the breakdown playlist. Miss Nader said, I don't think they ever really made it all the way down to the Titanic. Their footage didn't make sense and they didn't have GPS. I ain't making shit up tonight, y'all. I don't come here to make shit up. I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you. I'm not gonna say it's a conspiracy and it ain't no proof because for some reason the word conspiracy has been demonized and now people use it as an insult. No, conspiracy theories do exist. The fact that we gathered here tonight to accomplish a certain goal is a conspiracy. And generally conspiracy is mentioned when people conspire to do something that is harmful or illegal, as we see in our definition. So, we may not want to call it a conspiracy because we don't want to get called those people, but definitely we're going to find out that it is. Y'all are on it. Hey, M and Snope M. Long time no see. I love it. I love it when the good minds come together. Y'all forgive me for not being in the comments like I need to. Because y'all are in them damn comments doing what you're supposed to do, breaking it down already. But I got to get through this tech check. I'm trying to keep this at a 3-hour show tonight so y'all can go to bed. I kept y'all up really late these last couple weeks. So let's go to the next one. So the next one we're going to take a look at is from the same news source. I ain't going to give you no intro on it yet,
Catastrophic
but I just want to
implosion.
make sure
The unthinkable became all too real
you
this
can
past
hear it and
week
see it.
as we learned of the fate of undersea explorer Stockton Rush's
Give me a
Titan
3 if you
submersible
can
on
hear
its
and
way to the
see
Atlantic
this
grave
sex
of the
toy on the
Titanic.
screen. This
The
little bullet.
questions, the second guessing, David Pogue tells us, are likely to
David
continue
Pogue.
for
Let
a
me write
long
down his
time to
name.
come.
He might end up in a jar this week because there's some
Last
people
summer,
dead because
a
of
company
him.
called OceanGate invited
David
Sunday morning to join an
Pogue.
expedition to the
Yes,
Titanic. At the
Olokun.
time,
His name
I
is
was thrilled.
David Pogue. Yeah,
Next time
yeah,
I
his
come out of
name
this
is
doorway,
David Pogue.
I'll either be
Yeah,
a
we'll find
changed
out what his
man
birthday
forever
is, I'm sure.
or cursing the bad weather.
I'm
As the
sorry,
whole
y'all.
world knows
Y'all know
now,
what we do with
Ocean
information.
Gate's
We
business
snitch.
was taking
Um,
adventure seekers on
I'm just
these
waiting for some
Titanic
feedback.
dives.
Good. I got some threes. Miss Nodders gave us a 3. Rosetta and Sassy gave us a 3.
For
All right, y'all. That's all the
$250,000 a
content.
ticket.
That's all we got to do for our tech check. We got through that quick. Y'all are the bomb. When I say y'all are the bomb, oh my God. I couldn't do this without you. Okay, so roll call check. Tech check, check. House rules. Tonight's a little different. Our house rules are going to be a little bit different. And if y'all see T. Taylor Baby in the chat or St. Hudson, let me know so I can drop that link and bring up our co-host and our co-host. As well, if you see I'm Just too, because she was greatly in contribution to this show last week, and I would love for her to be able to participate in this follow-up because she caught some things in this video that we're going to examine last week. She made some things make sense and showed where they didn't, and in such an amazing way. So if she pops in tonight, let me know. I would love to drop the link. And I'm going to open up the panel in a little bit because I'm sure there's a lot of great minds who would love to weigh in on this. I can see it in the chat. There are some great minds to weigh in on this. So let's start with our house rules. Let me see what time it is. We're 4 minutes early. I can breathe. Hold on. We are 4 minutes away ahead of schedule. So let me catch up on these comments. With these extra 4 minutes that we have, since we are ahead of schedule. I always love to be a little bit ahead of schedule. Hold on. I know y'all be hearing that beat drop. It be scaring the shit out of y'all, don't it? I'm sorry. That's what a theme song do. Yeah, because y'all were commenting in the comment section, and I want to make sure I see this. Because y'all know what's popping. Listen, I'm going to use these little minutes wisely. I heard as soon as it went under, they exploded. I mean, that's pretty much, of course, it was an implosion, but there was a line that they crossed where it was over. And you remember how he said in his own video, Stockton Rush, that there would be a crack before there'd be an implosion. Well, there's that much time between the crack and the implosion. Y'all, if y'all got a little extra time tonight, I might ask you if we can watch a different video that goes into this a little bit deeper, because I do want to be on the same page, but I'm going to wait until we get through this. I don't want to wear you out too much with too much content. Miss Nodders, Rosetta said, hey. And M.N. Snope said it was never really about safety or whether it was well built. It was a calculated risk, but their calculations were off. We will find that Stockton Rush was not a scientist. He was a businessman. Shout out to the business people. I'm a businesswoman, but I am not a scientist. I am not an artist. I will never consider myself to create or invent something for the safety and well-being of people. I can make some money off it, but I might need to bring somebody in to make sure it's safe. We got a guy who studied aeronautics, and he's being lauded as a scientist. He studied aeronautics back when my mom and daddy was dating in 1974. So aeronautics is here. Let me see if I can get my hand in the camera. And the sea is way down here. Aeronautics and marine biology, or whatever you study to build submarines, is completely different sciences. This man went from being a aeronautics engineer student. He never worked as an aeronautical engineer. He went and got a job in venture capital. Okay? Which means he worked in business. I got a broadcast degree, but I went and got a job in marketing management because that's where the hiring was. Never worked in broadcast. I use it here with y'all. But listen, let's be clear. My career has been in management and business. Okay? So I'm not the one to go into anybody's TV station calling myself running nothing. Buying anybody's network, calling myself doing nothing. I can make my little show for y'all, but my education can only go so far. So let's be clear. This man was a businessman. He didn't give a damn about anybody's peace or safety. Anyway, Blue Butterfly said the Fisher Price submarine I used to play with in the tub as a toddler was probably built most sturdy, especially if it was made for toddlers. Because man, these toddlers be putting this shit through. I see. With rich white men, common sense is not common. Hence number 45. Ooh, don't let them girls hear you say that. St. Hudson, I think it's I'm just love her some number 45. Had a toy control. I don't think we'll ever get over that. That a human being, a grown person, was allowed to own a business using a toy remote control to move a vessel, a vehicle. Tesla would never. A cheap-ass submarine controlled by a bootleg Xbox controller. What the fuck? Yes, we snitch. Yes, we do. Y'all, I know a lot of people love talking about Jag, and they love seeing her jag all over the place. But I bet you she won't do what she was trying to do. She know where her boundaries are. You welcome. You welcome. A wing and a prayer didn't protect them. They didn't even have a wing on that submarine. They actually, at one time, they were going in the submarine and the propellers were going backwards. I was watching a video earlier where they were going forward and they were spinning. They were going in circles because the propeller was actually the whatever the things are, starts with a T. They were going backwards. They were installed backwards. Y'all, I'm just catching up on the comments because we got a couple extra moments before we have to go into our house rules. Oh no. Rosetta, you know I have some replay ready for you. I usually start posting replay videos on Tuesday. I give you guys a couple days to check out this long ass broadcast, and then I go in and start chopping it up on Tuesday. But my work schedule will be changing next week, so you'll probably start getting your replays starting on Monday. Not this week, next week. Wow. Amen. Snow. Oh, wait a minute. Let me not miss this one. Miss Notter said, I wonder if he had to press X to turn the spotlight on the outside. Like, if one remote control controls everything, and there's only so many buttons on a PlayStation-ish Logitech controller, come on, son. All he really focused on was what image he put on that back video to make those folks think they were going to the Titanic. That's really what most important. Now, what M.N. Snope said that sent me is, some people's physical work ends, but their afterlife work begins when the body dies. Perhaps that's the lesson. Interesting. And Blue Butterfly also said he sure did say it was an Xbox. He sure did. You getting all your laughs in. Oh my God. You guys go ahead and share this live if you want to join this conversation with some other like-minded people. We don't have to agree. You know, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to share the information. Of course, I share my opinion because that's what I'm here for. But we don't have to agree. Let me go ahead and get into these house rules now that we're 3 minutes late. Y'all know the first house rule. This is not a no judgment zone. I don't care if you dead or alive. You getting it. You put yourself on this camera, we gonna talk about you. That's what we do. This is the breakdown show. It's what we do. We are not discriminatory with our analysis. We use our critical thinking skills for men and women, for the gays and the straights, for the religious and the spiritual. We don't give a fuck. And if you put yourself on this camera, then we gonna give it to you. Because a lot of what's out here is some bullshit. So please, I don't want to hear nobody talking about not speaking ill of the dead. This is not a no judgment zone. It's important for us to use our critical thinking skills unemotionally to examine what is placed before us so that we get in the habit of doing it when we least expect it, when we least need it. We will have already turned on are thinking caps. So no, this is not a no judgment zone. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. This is not for children. Not because we're talking about anything so salacious tonight, but I like to cuss and I smoke weed. Speaking of which, motherfucking, what you drinking? What you smoking? Hold on, where my shit at? Oh, there we go. What you drinking? What you smoking? Let me know. I'm drinking some tea and some water. I don't get lit like that during this show because I got to keep a certain part of my brain ready. And I saw OKP drunk. I don't ever want to do that to y'all. I don't want my eyes getting all yellow and I'm drooling and shit, trying to tell y'all to put on your goddamn thinking caps. But I am gonna smoke though. I be trying to smoke indica with y'all so I have the common sense to go to bed. But I gotta smoke sativa because that's what I got. I got this hyperdrive. This shit is the bomb. Not only that, if you know anything about the differences between indica and sativa, you know that I need some doggone sativa to keep my brain sharp. Man, I smoked some sativa yesterday. I cleaned out my closet. I got a whole bunch done yesterday. I went downstairs and cleaned the kitchen, just a whole bunch of shit. See, y'all know what it is. The third house rule is, and I changed it a little bit tonight. The chat is on subscriber only mode. I do believe that tonight it's only on 5-minute mode. I don't expect any white people who feel like they're going to come over here and put us in check. They tried it in the comments last week, but you know, you guys are really good at ignoring stupid comments, and I really appreciate that. When you guys see a comment under this video throughout the week that's just stupid, y'all don't engage, y'all don't interact, y'all got the Oshun energy on them hoes that's just like, I'm gonna ignore you, you don't even exist with your stupidity. I'll go in and thumbs down it because I engage with the folks. But listen, I really appreciate that. You guys are just like the classiest crew. I swear to God, you let me cuss them out. You ain't got to do that. People be saying some dumb shit, but it is on subscriber only mode, just for 5 minutes. Just for 5 minutes. That's all. I would just appreciate that if you go and comment that you at least subscribe. I also would appreciate that thumbs up or that thumbs down. Either one. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I got the balls. I could take it. I got the balls. I got big nuts. I can take it. I'm sitting on my nuts. Ooh, Orange Crush and Sprite. Ooh, that make my throat hurt right now. Think about some Sprite. Yes. Yes, his wife was a descendant of Titanic passengers, so they say. But I haven't seen a lot of evidence, because they say a lot. I'm constantly reminded as we talk about this story of that white couple that got in the White House during that big dinner while Obama was president. They were nobody. They snuck in. And that same night, a black dignitary was ushered out because they said he wasn't supposed to be there and he was invited. I'm constantly reminded of the disparity. But that's our house rules, y'all. Now that we've gotten that out the way, let me welcome you. It is my pleasure. It is my honor. It is my privilege. You have no idea how much you are a part of a manifestation. I have watched things on YouTube and sat there and yelled at the TV by myself. But no, I don't have to be by myself no more. Because my vibe attracted my motherfucking tribe. And some of the smartest YouTube watchers come here to break things down on Saturday night. So I want to officially welcome you. If you are here in this live, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're participating in the chat during this live, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you in the bushes because you're still a little scared or you waiting for your 5-minute timer to be up so you can comment, Welcome. If you're at work right now on a Saturday night, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're watching this as a part of the replay gang, either through one of the premieres that we'll watch together this week or just on your own time, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you don't like what we got to say here and you make sure you leave a thumbs down before you leave, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is my pleasure to welcome you. And every single group that I just mentioned is a part of the Breakdown crew. Y'all, I'm dropping bars tonight. I hope y'all catch it. Let me give y'all a heads up. There's a couple things going on I gotta let y'all know about. Number one, today is July 1st. Which means I think we got about 20 days left before our next vacation. Miss Snotters, is it 20 days? And we'll be on the high seas butt naked. Anyway, not only do we only have 20 days left till our next vacation, we got 20 days left until Leo season, bitch. You better get your knees ready to bow down. Listen, I don't give a fuck what you say. I hold my lip all motherfucking year. It's about to go down. So in these next few weeks, you will see me blossom more into my annoying Leo self because I have complete permission. This is our year anyway, Leos. I don't know why. I just think it is. I don't know why. I just think it is. If you a Leo sun, if you a Leo rising, if you a Leo moon, shout outs to you. Our time is coming. Y'all going to put on some shades because we about to shine anyway. That had nothing to do with nothing. Excuse me. All right. Now that we got our welcomes out of the way, I am going to drop the link. Now, I don't want you to feel obligated, but I do want to open the opportunity for you. Excuse me. Excuse me. This shit is good. All right, 820. I knew who I was talking to. I need to turn on that fan. I don't know if that's a hot flash or the weed, Jesus. Whew, let me let it go. Hold on. If you anything over 40, you know what I'm dealing with right now. Whew. We still look good, but we get hot as fuck. Whew, Rosetta's a Scorpio. Don't mess with her. She got that Kenya Moore energy. Oh my God. Listen, and if you ever see me post your comment up here and I don't say it, that's because I know it was good, but I don't have time to read it, and I'm going to go back and watch it when I watch the replay with you. So anyway, let me drop this link. Now, let me give a couple rules for the panel. Respect the host. Respect the co-host. Respect the other members of the panel. You do have to show your face to me before I can let you up on the panel, just so I can make sure you're not a penis. Just want to make sure you're not a dick. I could care less if your name is Richard, but I do not want you to be an actual penis coming up on this screen, because that is the one thing that will get my live shut down. And I could care less about a penis. We got good pussy over here. We don't need a penis. We doing all right. Yes, the Kenya Moore energy, honey. The Kenya Moore energy, honey. Man, I think Scorpio females are worse than Scorpio males. Lord, we'll have to talk about that later. So let me go ahead and drop that link. I'm going to give you guys a minute to go ahead and decide if you want to come up to get yourself together. We are going to do a quick 30-second turnaround. No eggplants over here. You know what though, Miss Snotters? I do notice, I don't know if you notice, I don't really buy eggplant that much anymore because they don't make it here. Like, eggplant here is not like it is in China. I miss that Chinese eggplant. It was huge and long. It was so big and tasty. No pun intended. And before I give us a break, let me read this quick fair use statement. Miss T. Taylor Baby is usually here to keep me on track, but I'm going to go ahead and remember to do it. before we get started, as you finish up wrapping up the making of your drink and the rolling of your blunt, please, please, please remember the Copyright Act of 1976, which explains and includes language that says allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, content, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. So the videos that we're using tonight are being used in accordance with fair use. That's why you'll notice I talk over them. That's why you'll notice my face is included in all of them. That's why you'll notice that they're always going to be on a screen with my logos and insignia, because there are certain things that I have to do to make sure I honor fair use. Okay? So I appreciate you bearing with me while I do my job the way I have to do it to keep us here. All right. Let me give us a quick break real quick, and then we're going to get started with this next video, y'all. Here we go. I ain't never ready. I ain't never ready. I ain't never ready. Here we go, though.
Very small group of people who've actually made it to the bottom of the Atlantic.
Before we get started, I want to introduce the reason why. Hey, Spotum TV. I want to introduce the reason why we're watching this video again. Now, we noticed during the watching of this same video last week that a fraudulent activity was committed. We noticed that CBS News included footage from OceanGate's website of the Titanic, the actual Titanic, and they included it in their footage as though the Titan was able to see the Titanic clear as day. And the reason why we learned that footage was false was because we saw that Fox News also used that same footage and credited OceanGate with the production of that footage, not CBS News, which means that footage that we saw came from OceanGate's website, not CBS News. I'll point out where it is because we're going to watch it again. I just wanted to watch this again because it's very important for us to see how CBS News presented OceanGate, Stockton Rush, and the Titanic. And the Titan, this entire expedition shenanigan bullshit, as I'm just called the knitted Twinkie. I called it a sex toy. Listen, because it looked like a little bullet to me. But we want to take a look at how they presented this in their first cover of it, because they came back out earlier this week to try to cover their ass. Because we talked about whether or not they should get sued. So I want us to take a look at what they released in their cover up, their retraction of sorts. I hope the fucking what's they call Martin Luther King? What they call the Nobel, not Nobel. What's the ones that give the awards for the news? I got to go back and look at them now. It's been a long time since I've said it, but there's an organization that actually awards news and keeps people in order, pretty much. And I hope they're watching, because they don't actually, CBS News never actually issues a retraction. They just give another story that says a little bit more than it said before and doesn't happen to include that same footage. Y'all, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to watch, I know, right? Propaganda on the news. Oh, Lord, who'd have thunk it? First thing we're going to do is we're going to watch the video that we watched last week. I'm not going to stop it as much. I really just want us to watch how they presented this to us and take it for face value. And then we're going to go back and watch what they actually released earlier this week to try to cover their ass. And if my husband was on that shit, if my son was on that shit, I'd be suing CBS News. Even though they're released according to the liability waiver. Hey, One True Empress, Pulitzer, thank you very much. That's exactly who it is, Pulitzer. The Pulitzer organization. They're the ones that keep the news organizations in check. They're the ones that give out the big prizes that everybody holds up. They're bigger than the Emmys when it comes to the news. So I think they have something to do with literature as well. But I'm wondering if they're watching. Because there are some atrocities that take place that led to tragedy and death because of the egregious omittance of information from a news organization. And I know that CBS Sunday Morning is supposed to be like lighthearted. So don't put this shit on the news if you can't keep it lighthearted, is all I'm saying. Don't put it out here if you can't do it like it's supposed to be done. Don't get into this business if you don't want to be in the business. CBS News. So anyway, let me give it to you. And shout outs to her outfit once again, because she's still doing it.
To view firsthand the eerie remains of the Titanic.
Give me some feedback. Let me know you
It
can hear
promised
this
to
and
be
see this
quite
okay.
a journey, quite a story besides.
Maybe you've heard the story of the Titanic.
Iceberg, right ahead!
I think there was a movie about it.
Come on, give me a hand!
For the most part, the only people who've ever seen the Titanic since that night have been scientists. Until now.
It's a very unusual business. It's its own category. It's a new type of
He said it was a business, right?
Stockton Rush is
Okay.
the CEO of OceanGate.
He's a
company
CEO,
that
right?
offers
Not
dives to the
director.
Titanic in a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible for $250,000 per person.
Who are the typical clientele for these missions?
We have clients that are Titanic enthusiasts, which we refer to as Titaniacs. We've had people who have mortgaged their home to come and do the trip. And we have people
Mortgage
who
their
don't
home.
think twice about a trip of this cost. We had one gentleman who had won the lottery.
And this summer, Rush
Stupid
invited
gentleman.
us to come along.
Thank you for
We
the feedback,
departed from
guys.
St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, the easternmost tip of North.
Now, he said Rush invited them to come along. Excuse me. And when you think about that, I want you to think about that liability waiver that he'll read a piece of in a little bit. If you were invited to come along on this expedition after reading this liability waiver, would you? All right. That's all I want to know.
America, about 400 miles from the Titanic,
That's the last we'll be seeing of land for 8 days.
aboard
8
a
days.
chartered oil rig servicing ship. During our 2-day journey into the North Atlantic, we got to know our fellow adventurers. They included everyone from Indian industry mogul Shrenik Baldota
Yeah, they call me a wild monk.
This
Look, a
corny
wild
nigga.
monk?
Yeah, because I look like a monk.
Because I
I
look
wear
like a
crown,
monk.
but,
Would you like
I
a
have these
Slurpee?
extreme
This ignorant motherfucker.
interests.
to bank executive Renata Rojas.
I'm trying to fulfill a dream. I've been wanting to go to Titanic and see it with my own eyes.
Her
This is
dumbass.
before they found it.
She's been saving up to see the Titanic for 30 years.
Dreams don't have a price. Some people want a Ferrari. Some people buy a house. I wanted to go to Titanic.
But the star of the show is the Titan.
Ferrari won't let everybody buy a Ferrari. You have to meet a certain standard of lifestyle and living and social elegance to be allowed to purchase a brand new Ferrari from Ferrari. Please let's not compare Ferrari to this bullshit. This thirsty, needy, hungry for clientele bullshit. Ferrari is a much different organization than OceanGate. Let's not get it
Stockton
twisted.
Rush's custom-built submersible.
I hope you heard that, Ferrari.
5-inch thick carbon fiber, capped on each end by a dome of titanium. If all went well, I myself would be spending about 12 hours sealed inside on a dive to the Titanic.
12
gonna lie.
hours.
I was a little nervous.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Okay, I feel like drinking. Is all I want to know. Now, do you think he signed it? Do you guys think he actually signed this liability waiver? Because I don't think we actually see him sign the liability waiver that we saw. He read it. Oh, Blue Butterfly, the reason why she's scrubbing the window is because the passengers provide the money. Now, here's the thing Stockton Rush had these niggas thinking. If you know about the House of Prayer, then you know about this model of slavery. Excuse me. Stockton Rush and his homeboy, his business partner, whose name I can't remember, they had convinced these people who were paying 250,000 pounds to go on this experimental vessel that was being monitored by an oil rig maintenance ship, not a hospital ship, an oil rig maintenance ship, not certified. Okay. They were being told that you are part of this expedition. Now, did you notice that in the liability waiver, they were continually called volunteers and crew? I did too. Well, I looked into it. Ooh, y'all know I'm about to be high. So because they were called crew and volunteers, although they were paying to be there, oh, he gave them jobs to do. Oh, yes, he did. He gave them jobs to do to get the submersible vessel ready. Oh, you saw her. Excuse me. I'm going to try not to die on this camera. Listen, you saw her scrubbing the windows. And see, me and Miss Snotters were curious about that because she mentioned it last week during the show. We thought it was just funny. Excuse me. Come to find out, he had these people doing the job of a crew so that they would think he gave them something to do. These people literally thought, excuse me, they were preparing a vessel to do an expedition. He had them working. They were paying 250. It might be on one of those videos in the breakdown playlist. I believe that it is. And if it is, I'll find it and point it out where we got this information from. Because that's the truth. He had these people thinking they were part of the crew. So these people that died, these 4 people that died were responsible for the maintenance. Now, these people were not, only one of them was an expert explorer. He hadn't built a submarine. The other guy was a British investor. There was a 19-year-old boy and then another businessman. I mean, if you rich like I want to be rich, I ain't used to maintenance work. My hands don't get dirty. I don't put my knuckles or my elbow grease into nothing. So I'm not going to clean that ship like somebody who would. This is a fun experience for me. Yeah. He had them paying to work. Shout outs to whoever asked the question about the window. I meant to tell y'all that. Thank you. Miss Nodders is my witness. If you saw that same piece, Miss Nodders, please put it in the comments that you did. If you didn't, then my bad for putting you in it. I thought that we watched that together. If I remember correctly, we saw that together. That man had those people working. The ones he was about to kill. That's some evil shit. That's some evil shit. That's some dirty shit.
Oh, take your shoes off. That's customary. Okay. Wow.
Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. It shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea. It's also the only one with a toilet.
Rosetta, that's facts.
And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many
Y'all saw the toilet?
sub seemed
homemade, nigga
You
rig.
can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on. It seems like this submersible has some elements
Y'all.
of MacGyver-y jerry-riggedness. I mean, you're putting
Now,
construction
here's the
types of
question that
valve.
I
I
have,
don't know if
because
I
the reason why we're watching this video again is to point out how CBS News glossed over the danger that was right before their eyes. And it'll become more evident when we watch the second video, where you see the video they left out, the footage they left out. Why is this man David Olosi, his name is David Pogue. Okay, Ogun? David Pogue. Yes, David Pogue laughed. It's a Sony PlayStation. And then he was so ginger about the words he used. It seems, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to upset you. I don't want to ruffle your feathers because the check didn't clear that you paid us for coming here doing this story. It seems a little nigger rigged. He's so gentle, so kind, so polite about telling this man that he's building a murder weapon. And he laughed about it. Come on, man. He's scared. He's scared to tell this man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Have you lost your motherfucking mind? Because his friends told him in writing. Several of them. Several people sent him emails about, the inconsistencies with this technology, and, how many times it had actually gone down, and how many times it was designed to actually have gone down. Someone else mentioned that too. I believe it was MN Snope M. How many, this wasn't designed. There are submarines and submersibles that are literally only designed to go once. That's why we see them in museums. That's in the breakdown playlist. One of those videos breaks that down and explains that. There, and that's the one I want to kind of watch tonight because there's a lot in it. Um, um, and it includes a black scientist, which is awesome to see, and rare. So I definitely want to take a look at that together if y'all got a little extra time, energy, or whatever. But yeah, this thing, there were several people who emails are coming out now day by day of people who said, we told him he was stupid. He stopped being my friend. He stopped coming over to snort cocaine with me and look at chicks, on the internet. Like he fired me. He found a reason to fire me, and then he sued me because I said it wasn't safe. But this dude who has the ears of the entire planet at his feet says, come on, man. It's just, it seems like it's a little nigger rigged. I mean, I don't want to call you a bitch ass nigga, but this is some bitch ass nigga ish kind of shit to put somebody in, don't you think? And we established last week that nothing's on television for free. Nobody's going to do a new story on you for the free like that. Everybody get paid.
use that description of it. But there's certain things that you want to
He wouldn't call it nigger
buttoned
rigged.
down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyvered at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
But when expedition manager Kyle Bingham
But if your thrusters go, can't your submersible vessel just float into that zone where it implodes because there are no thrusters to thrust it? Nobody points this out. There are no. Come on now. We've talked about street stars, real life street stars, and how they let Jacqueline Wright and Angela Owosu just say what the fuck they want to say on a platform. Never check them, never fact check them, never follow up question them, nothing. This is that same shit. What are follow up questions like? Where's the backup? Whenever you go to investigate a story, you always do your own investigation. Like Tariq Nasheed said it, you never do a documentary and don't already know what they're going to say. But David Pogue, Ogun, his name is David Pogue. Yes, Yes, tell Ola Kun when he goes to look for who to get, it's David Pogue because he's the one that allowed this lie to be spread. Yes, I got you. Yeah. When David Pogue, there should have been someone to say, wait a minute, you said it's okay for the thrusters to go, but how could that be if the thrusters are what allows this thing to literally propel? Literally propel. There is no propulsion, right? What do you call it? It's not going to go anywhere without thrusters. And I think those are the things. Remember I said earlier, sorry about the camera, y'all. My desk got excited. Remember I said earlier there was something that they had installed backwards so they weren't able to go, and I said it started with a T. It was the thrusters. There's video in the breakdown playlist of this man getting stuck in the ocean, stalled in the ocean, not going nowhere because the thrusters were installed backwards. And this man just said, your thrusters could fail and you'll be fine. That's an emergency. Your submersible vessel could literally float down into the area where it could get pimp slapped by pressure. But this journalist never follows up, never goes back and says, wait a minute, that don't sound right. Never contacts the correct authorities to say, hey, maybe you want to take a look at this thing happening.
Studied the forecast for our Titanic dive, he concluded that
Culpable.
the waves would be too big to launch the sub.
We're looking at 6 feet, and then it bumps up a little bit.
Our Titanic adventure would have to wait. But Stockton Rush offered our CBS crew a consolation dive to the continental shelf 80 miles away.
Apparently there's a lot of sheer cliffs underwater to see, shark breeding ground. They say it's really cool.
The crew closes the hatch from the outside with 17 bolts. There's no other way out.
The unfortunate thing is this. You remember when we talked about Jackie O? I believe it was Nigel that spotted that she was trying to become a promotion queen. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because when I went to school to study broadcast production at Jackson State, my marketing education was completely separate. I have a minor in marketing. My major was mass communications. They were two separate educations, two separate buildings, two separate schools. One was a school of business, the other one was a school of mass communications. But here we got a journalist who's being a marketer for a company. He's using his platform. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get this camera right. He's using his platform to market this business, this situation, instead of just telling the truth. He's putting icing on the cake, like, oh, we couldn't go to the Titanic, but we could go to, this cliff somewhere. If I look crooked, y'all, it's because I am. My camera's crooked. Let me get it straight. Y'all so patient and graceful. Thank you. Let's see. All right. Thank you. I'm basically naked from the belly button down, so I'm trying to keep my camera under control today. Let me get in here. I just wanted to note that it just seems like he's so focused on marketing. He's hyping up this thing instead of just telling the story.
Here's how the launch is supposed to go. The sub is attached to a huge floating platform. Motorboats drag it down the big orange ramp into the sea.
We're in the water, we're floating. Woo! They are going to come and prepare the platform for the next phase, which is the sinking.
The platform submerges to around 30 feet, where the water is much calmer than on the surface.
You're in the water, people.
Divers detach the sub from the platform, and away you go, in theory.
Hull integrity, holding.
And what happened next?
Let me pause for a second because I want to focus on this comment from M.N. Snope. There have been several successful trips to the Titanic, but they were all done by scientists and skilled divers. There's not been one field trip to the Titanic. that's been successful. And Stockton Rush is further proof. There's not been one field trip, one excursion, or fake expedition to the Titanic that's been successful, because this thing is a serious feat. You're talking about 13,000 feet under the sea, where the pressure is so high, animals barely live. This isn't like people just go there. That's why he could charge 250,000, because it really was that rare. You'll hear in a minute this man says nobody does this. But for the first time ever, somebody found a way. This man, Stockton Rush, said one day he gets tired of people telling him, one day you're going to kill somebody.
You won't be disappointed, as we'll show you a little later on Sunday morning. Our dive in the Ocean Gate submersible had made it down only 37 feet when this happened.
So apparently those floats there
37
came
feet.
off the platform, and that wasn't supposed to happen. So we're.
He told the
so
truth
we're
about that
scrubbing.
part.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus up here.
Copy that.
I was crushed. My diving
Crushed.
adventures were over.
He
Every
paid for nothing.
expedition has its challenges, all of them. I have not been in one expedition where things have to be adjusted, adapted.
Yeah,
changed.
while she say stupid shit, I'm gonna turn it down. Mr. Beast, who I still don't know who the fuck that is, but my daughter does, was supposedly invited to go on this, but he did some research and backed out. He was actually invited to go on that particular scheduled field trip, but he turned it down. And it became very obvious in my research that Stockton Rush was really, really big on getting a celebrity presence. I called this the Fire Festival submarine, because he really was big on having a professional, I mean, a celebrity presence. And that's why this news station was invited. But remember, Stockton didn't have a problem giving anybody $100,000 discount. He didn't have a problem doing that. And let me pause this, because this pissed me off. Now, if you remember, if you were here last week when we saw this screen, I said, what is on that screen? And I stopped it. Now, supposedly, this is video. This is supposedly video of on that vessel, that the oil rig maintenance vessel that is supposed to keep them busy, because they weren't actually able to do the expedition they were supposed to do. They're supposed to be able to have seminars with scientists. Now, I'm going to let you listen to this man say it so you don't think I'm lying.
And that, my friends, is called a fog bow.
You can also hang out with scientists.
Okay, so you hanging out with a scientist, but what is on the screen? Why are they talking about ambiguity? That's not a science conversation. That's an English conversation. I'm an English teacher. I got a TEFL TESOL. I can teach English as a second language and a first language. Huh. I'm sorry, foreign language. I got my F's mixed up. And it's another English teacher in here too. Miss Nada's teach English too. She know what it is. This isn't science. Why would you be talking to somebody on a vessel, on a ship, about ambiguity? This doesn't even make sense. It seems as though this video just came from somewhere, nowhere, and they just threw it in here, because it doesn't make any sense. Now, this is a 6-month-old story. You can't be making these kind of mistakes, CBS News. What the fuck? Nothing about this has anything to do with science or what they're getting ready to do, or the Titanic, or Ocean Gate, or submersible vessels, or ocean diving, or animals of the sea, or the Mariana Trench, or anything. Why is this on the screen? Now, if I remember correctly,
Hang out with scientists.
he said hang out with scientists. What? Puppet Master said they did. They did hang out with a scientist. I'm just like, I just had to, excuse me, stop to take a moment and just point out the bullshit. Hey, Seven Blunts, to take a moment to point out the. I don't know nothing, Mr. B. I ain't never seen him. I know what he looked like. His face is on candy at the 7-Eleven. But as long as he ain't inappropriate or doing nothing crazy, y'all let me know now. I'll go find him. Put Yemi on his ass and then shoot. Hey, so anyway, I'm trying to figure out what is the relevance of this footage. What is the relevance of this footage?
You can also hang out with scientists. Researchers like deep-sea biologist Steve Ross and ocean archaeologist Rob Mather join every expedition.
Hey,
In
Jennifer.
effect, the passengers are funding their science.
The passengers are funding their science. That's why they washing the windows. What's good, Seven Blunts? It is all good. It is all good. Listen, the passengers are funding the research. That's why they're washing the windows and ballasting the hoist or whatever you do when you get shit ready for the water. He said, this is my first time reading this, Seven Blunts. She said they needed to be brainwashed enough to agree to get inside that death tube. So let's talk about ambiguity for an hour until you fall asleep. Yeah, Jennifer Torrey said, hey, breakdown crew.
Expedition. I don't do show science. So our job is to do real and important and valid work.
While you're down there.
Now, what you didn't hear was the rest of what this man said. He said, I don't do show science. Our job is to do real, valid, and something else work. He might have said after that, and this nigga is on some bullshit. But we don't know that because it got cut out.
Will you look for this giant heart-shaped diamond on a...
And he doesn't even ask this other scientist a valid question. That was the moment when he could have said, is this thing safe? Would 9 out of 10 dentists recommend that anyone get on this little toothpaste-shaped submarine? Is it certified? Has it undergone rigorous testing and third party, all that other shit people do when they put something out to the market? What do you think about Stockton Rush? Scientists. Because I'm just going to think about this for a second. This man sounded very serious when he said what he said about not doing show science. And I want to go back to it because I don't think that that's all he said. I don't know yet. Excuse me, but I done copy pasted and cut enough in my day to know he may have said something a little different. Let's see.
Valid work.
While you're down there, will you...
Real and important. I don't do show science.
Let me see what the question was.
In effect, the passengers are funding their science.
Yes, they is.
How scientific is this expedition?
I don't do show science. So our job...
The question was, how scientific is this expedition? That was a good question. But the answer was pretty ambiguous. Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you agree? That answer was either not the answer to that question, or it came after or before some other shit that was not included here.
So our job is to do real
Rangers are funding their science.
Thanks for taking this slow
How
walk with me, y'all.
scientific is this expedition? I don't do show science. So our job is to do real and important and valid work.
You could tell by his hairline he is serious about what he does. Because it's gone. Gone. And he's still doing his
While
work.
you're down there, will you look for this giant heart-shaped diamond on a chain?
I think that's not there.
I want to know why they cut off the last part of what he said.
Valid work.
While you're down there,
Y'all saw his mouth continue to move, right? He said more.
And valid work.
While you're down there.
And they cut him off. So how scientific is this? What was the answer? What was the answer? How scientific is this? I don't do show science, and our job is to do real, valid, and something other. I can't remember the last word he said. Something and valid work. How scientific is this? That wasn't James Cameron. Girl, you know that's my male crush Monday, James Cameron. I think he is so handsome. Him and the president of India. Ooh, I'm about to tell my business.
Will you look for this giant heart-shaped diamond on a chain?
I think that's not there.
He asked a scientist that question. I would have been insulted. I think that's not that. Something bothered me about that last week, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And that's because this nigga knows this is some bullshit. Look at his eyes. He knows this is some bullshit. And he's just playing along. He's just playing along. And I think everybody knows this is some bullshit. And I think that first nigga knows this is some bullshit too. But he on the edge. Let me see where this go. You know, like I did with what's his name? One of these gospel singers had a group. Some of the ghetto fabulous bullshit I ever seen. You better hope I don't remember your name, Patrick Love. He made that song. I told the storm to pass. Storm, you can't last. Anyway, he tried to come back out with a group because he never paid for the masters for that song. So he never made the money from it. But he still had his name, Patrick Love. And he came out with a group, and it was such a charade. It was a horrible charade, like of unprofessionalism. And that's this man right here. He just going along with it. I just went along with it. I was like, we gonna see where this go. Rehearsal after rehearsal. Live show after live show. Never finished the album. Never got masters finished. Never did any actual real bookings outside of these little churches that were his auntie's churches. This ain't some bullshit. Let me get off this chitlin train and go take my voice somewhere else and my anointing somewhere else. Because this nigga didn't even show up for rehearsal on time. Patrick Love. Shaped like your mama. Anyway.
On our 6th day at sea, the weather cleared. The dive was a go.
6 days.
Sitting at 3742 meters, reports on bottom.
But that was the last.
Now how we know she a real scientist? If the crew does all the work, because there is a time in here where you're gonna see. Remember that silly bitch, the banker, who was crying because they couldn't go down because something. I talked over her earlier today. She's in that room as well, and it looks like she might be a scientist, but we know she's not. Oh my God, this shit is so janky.
Was the last of the good news.
I said, do you know where we are? 100 meters to the bow, then 470 to the bow. If you are lost, so are we.
He got lost. And while he got lost, let me just remind you that Donald Trump was once a joke too. And then January 6th happened. And people's lives got destroyed from the rooter to the tutor because of that man and his joke. Him running for presidency was a joke. Remember, we all laughed about it. That won't go nowhere. That nigga ain't gonna run for office. Oh, he just playing. He'll get out before it's over. Oh, he gonna go through them whole first 30 days. Oh, he's staying. Oh, he's saying shit he ain't supposed to say. He pushing buttons and shit. Y'all, I was stuck in China because of that nigga. He was a joke too. Everybody thought he was a joke. If I remember correctly, the KKK was a joke too. You know, we gonna get on our wagons and run them niggas out of town, drink a beer, and before you know it, they a whole organization. Miss Niders told me earlier this week the KKK got in a fight with the Proud Boys down yonder. I wish I would have seen that shit. Listen, it was a joke. It started off as a joke. You know, they didn't take him seriously, but there was enough here. And they had more footage. I can't wait to show you. They had more footage. They just didn't show us here.
Underwater.
And they
So the
played
surface
with us
ship
here.
is supposed to guide the sub to the shipwreck by sending text messages.
Turn 30 degrees right?
Probably, 30 degrees.
But on this dive, communications somehow broke down. The sub never found the wreck.
We were lost. We were lost for 2.5 hours.
Who are them smiling niggas in that little thing? Am I the only person that saw them little smiling niggas? Let me take my picture down, because y'all got to see this shit. This is not a serious scientific endeavor. You don't never see scientists smile. When the last time, except Neil deGrasse and Stephen Hawking? He didn't have a choice, though. He didn't really have a choice whether or not he smiled. But I ain't never seen scientists have so much fun. These niggas on vacation. Hold up, let me show you.
Never found the wreck.
Who are these niggas smiling? They're having a great time. These are not scientists. There go Captain Goofy over here, the wild monk. These are tourists. These are not the crew. They're not even equipped. Part of their $250,000 in pounds got them this jumpsuit with their name on it. And when I was in the choir at New Birth, we paid $350 for a choir robe we never wore. These aren't professional people. They're having a ball.
We were lost. We were lost for 2.5 hours.
2.5
Rush says
hours.
he'll offer those passengers a free do-over next year.
If you're lost for 2.5 hours, what keeps you from descending? Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, they was fighting downtown. Jesus, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's who I was talking about earlier in one of my little mini rants, Blue Butterfly. There, somebody got fired because they brought the safety concern because they reported it, and then they got sued by this nigga. He sued the person he fired.
And that's just one cost of doing this business.
Are you making money on this operation?
No.
A lie. Y'all saw that espresso machine, and yeah, it was a $2,700 one. Y'all saw that chair and that TV, and it was a better remote control in that chair than it was in that submersible vessel. $350 for a choir robe. I had to threaten to return my money just to get the robe, girl. They took months to give us those robes we paid for. And I had to be like, I want my money back before the robe spontaneously appeared. And still had to be altered. Girl, church is a scam. If I ever start a church, grab me and tell me don't do it, because I'm doing it for the money and I'm not doing it right. I ain't got no intentions, because I've learned from the best. Eddie Long and them told me. They told me. They took me in the room and they said, when you write these evangelistic plans, please remember it's about the bottom line. At the end of the day, Hermione Fisher told me, at the end of the day, this is a business. Don't ever get it twisted. Terrell Murphy told me, I wrote a whole evangelism plan to teach people how to evangelize and take Jesus into the streets. And they said, we got to make sure that we are attracting people who can bring money into this church. So when you write this plan, make sure you map it out appropriately. Oh, yes, that's what I was told, because it's a business. If you hear me say I ain't no Christian, please believe it's not an ignorant notion.
So, not yet. People might say, hey, that's a lot of money, $250,000. But we went through over $1 million of gas.
It was our last day at sea. There was one last chance to reach the Titanic. And this time, good weather and good fortune were aligned.
Slow down, it's just in front of us. Just we're in front of the anchor.
Now watch how the music, and I'm going to talk over this because I keep getting copywritten struck because of this damn song. Fucking stupid shit. Watch how they use this song from the Titanic to support the idea that they're purporting that these people actually saw it. And we know because we've watched this. We watched this together last Saturday night, and we watched this replay a couple times this week. We know this is all they saw. What you see on the screen is what they saw. We know that. We've already done the digging and we've already looked and we know this is all they saw. Me either. I got delivered from Christianity in 2016. It was crazy because when my dad died, I went through this pain and this suffering. And I asked God, how do I heal? And he told me I needed to start honoring my ancestors. And I went and talked to a friend of mine about it, and was like, that's a sin. And my friend was like, how is it a sin? I got a master's degree from a seminary. I know the Bible. So I took him to every scripture. And he said, well, outside the Bible, where is it a sin? And if God told you that's where your healing is, why wouldn't you go? And from there, my mind was just open. I am very, very grateful for the pastor who turned into a teacher, who taught me so much about, what's really out there and expanded my mind. My healing really, really did come from. It was really hard to watch that funeral for Jackie because Christians don't know how to mourn. They don't. So they do stupid shit. They do shenanigans. That's been my word all week. Anyway, I meant to say that we know that this is all they saw. But watch, and because the focus of tonight is on CBS News and how it was a conspiracy. The Titan tragedy. The conspiracy, if you haven't caught it yet, was between CBS News and Ocean Gate. That's the conspiracy I'm tethering together, no pun intended, because these two organizations came together to put this story out here like these people saw something they didn't see, to make us think we might see something that we'll never see without our head going pop, 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 pop.
Here's the bow, guys.
Yeah.
You guys see it?
Look at that though, how it just kind of emerges out.
Yeah.
That is it. That is otherworldly.
And there it was.
And there it was.
Bow.
There it was. The famous bow. He says, y'all, listen again. I know. But you got to remember, because you got to remember this time. David Pogue. Yeah, David Pogue. Y'all wonder why I talk to my gods like that, because they work for me. Ogun works for me. Yemeya works for me. Olokun works for me. They stay wanting something, don't they? So I talk to them the way I would talk to my employees, and they keep acting like they don't hear what I'm saying. His name is David Pogue. He said, and there it was. Didn't he say it? Did he not say it? If you heard that man say, and there it was, please put a 1 in this chat. If that man said, and there it was, as though he saw it, I want you to remember this. This moment is so key. It's so important. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember it enough to get I think it was, trying to get a time stamp. on where we are when he says, I think that was at the 9-minute mark exactly. Which is funny because I learned how to make news stories and documentaries and photo documentaries like this. And we break things down into segments very, very specifically. It's not by accident that at the exact 9-minute mark, he said, and there it was. Because that was the time to wrap up. He had about 1:19 left, and he had to get the story across. This nigga, this lying nigga. So we know, let me just go back because it was so clear and so able to be seen. Y'all know that's all they saw. Let me use my little pink mouse, excuse me. Y'all see my little pink mouse showing this little shape of Louisiana right here? This little boot. Y'all know that's all they saw. Y'all know that's all they saw. And you can hear their voice on the footage. You can clearly hear the passengers' voices on the footage saying, can you see it? Yeah, I think that's it right there.
Merges out.
Look, see how it kind of merges out? Ooh, it's otherworldly. And there it was. Now, we pointed out last week, and I'm just was the smart one I still owe dinner to. She pointed out last week how, excuse me, let me appear on the screen so that I don't break fair use. They are actually coming from the opposite side of this bow. So they're approaching the bow, and if I remember correctly, the bow is at the front of the ship. I don't know aft and forward. I know the dining, all the food is in the aft, and the babysitters are on the aft, and the nightclubs are forward. But I can't remember what the bow. I think it's the front, if I remember correctly. But whichever part of the ship they are approaching, and I apologize for not being educated enough to be able to speak on that more honestly. I don't ever claim to know it all. I just claim to bring the shit and break it down. But we can see together, if you can follow my pink mouse, what they saw and the shape of it, right? So they're approaching this thing from what we may say is the right side of it. If this is the front of the ship, starboard side, no, starboard side, yeah, the side, port side, the side of the ship that will be on the port, it's the front of the ship. This would be on the right. Now, when he says, and there it is, they're on the left. So did they float past it and come around? And he doesn't have none of that footage of them coming up closer to it? This nigga says, now this same footage was on Fox News last week, and Fox gave the credit to Ocean Gate for the footage on their website. Now remember, Stockton Rush said we could put anything we want on that back screen, and I gave a pass to CBS News, and I said maybe that's what he put on the screen, and they said they could easily say that's what he showed us, but we'll find in the next video. This was a conspiracy. They were in collusion. And CBS is as much culpable for this misjustice as Stockton Rush and Ocean Gate. Because this man said,
and there it was.
And there
The
it
famous
was.
bow.
The famous bow. He's describing how they staring, Miss Notters. They just, they just diamond in the back, da da da, did it in the scene with my gangster lean, gangster white walls. They just did it. Now that doggone who's Jaguar Wright's cousin? Erykah Badu. Now that Erykah Badu song is in my head too. I got to get it out of my head. But anyway, how in the world is he describing these things as though they've, and it sound like I'm putting 20 on 10 and I'm making something bigger than it is, but you'll see why I'm so passionate about this when you see the next video. Because when he uses words like, and there it was, the famous bow.
the ship's wheel pedestal.
The ship's wheel pedestal. Look, the wheel pedestal. With these things just happen to be lined up straight in front of it. What I say last week, what crustaceans came out from under the sea to put these up here so nicely and neatly, so they'd be there just in time for the Titan to come without popping. Now I gave because I've been trying to be more in my Piscean energy, which I have no water in my chart whatsoever. I'm earth and fire, baby. That's it. That's it. But anyway, I've been trying to be a little bit more watery and say, well, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay? Let me give them the benefit of the doubt. And maybe that's what Stockton Brush put on the screen. And that's why CBS News put that out there as what they saw. Because we know good and motherfucker well they didn't see that shit in that goddamn porthole shaped like a toilet bowl. They didn't see that out of the porthole. So I said, maybe he put it on the screen. Right? I know, Rosetta. You seen it in all the footage.
And memorial plaques from old expeditions.
Y'all, thank you for everyone who's here. Please
The
like or dislike
bollards
this
that
video.
once secured the ship in port,
Y'all, as we watch
and
this
the davits
bullshit,
that
please
lower the lifeboats.
share and subscribe,
The hole
y'all.
where a huge
If you want to
smokestack once
comment,
stood.
please just subscribe. We
And
want
the
to hear what you
skylight
got to say
over the
too.
radio room
You hear
that
this
sent
nigga
out-
describing this shit that he sees, and please believe I'm talking over it because I've already gotten copywritten strucken twice because of the background song they chose to use here. So I'm talking over it on purpose, but he's describing these things in detail as though he saw them from the Titan. I'm going to go back and we'll watch this whole segment again.
Stress signals.
Now, everybody you see here is a slave. First of all, let me say this. Let me say this first of all. If you'll notice, none of these people were on this particular vessel because this footage here that you're going to see is actually also from Ocean Gate. It wasn't CBS's footage. This is from the Ocean Gate website.
Now, Titanic tourism has its detractors, but
Now you notice that little
these expeditions don't disturb the wreck.
all of
or
this is
retrieve
Ocean Gate
artifacts.
footage.
And Stockton Rush says that they're valuable to history.
At some point, there will be no Titanic. It will
Ocean
be
Gate
eaten by
footage.
The bacteria. It'll be an artificial reef that doesn't look like
This is
the Titanic.
CBS footage. I'm
Renata
talking on
Rojas would
purpose.
agree.
I'm talking
After
over this shit on
30
purpose so I
years
don't
of
get
trying,
copyright
she
struck
finally got to
again.
see
And she
the most
finally
famous
got to see the Titanic after 30 years of trying, and she saw what you see right now but in that porthole. But he told us that she saw crisis actors. Could be. He told us that she saw the bow, the doors, the wheel thingamajigger. Oh yeah, tourism. You caught it. This is business. This isn't science. They didn't vet these people. They had no criteria even for their age.
wreck in the world.
I'm gonna turn it down so I don't get copyright struck again. She getting all excited and they ain't even seen nothing. She didn't see nothing. Not nothing, Rosetta. The bottom of the sea. She didn't see nothing. No, this is the part right here that I'm just pointed out. That let us know that everything we saw was an illusion. Hello, good morning, Amanda. MBS. Good morning. And evening to wherever you are. This was the part that I'm just pointed out to remind us that this was all an illusion. Y'all, let me get to this second part because what this man, David Pogue, thank you. Okay, I really appreciate you remembering this man's name because y'all got some work to do tonight while I sleep. On this David Pogue because he owes a whole lot more than an apology, and he hasn't even apologized. He hasn't apologized, and CBS News has not apologized for their participation in this and how it came to be because they're as responsible. They're as responsible as Stockton Rush, if you ask me, and my little eyes. Let me show you what he said.
People became all too real this past.
If you could hear and see that, please give me a 3 in the Chizat. Yep, that kaleidoscope analogy was super deep. It gave me the chills, man. Let me give us a little moment to breathe before we get into this second part. Y'all, tighten up your thinking caps. You ain't even got to do that because the shit is right here out in your face. You ain't got to get that deep with this. Hold on, where my other blunt at? Y'all, I am waiting to get just a little feedback. If you could tell me if you were
Last
able
week,
to hear and
as we
see
learned of
this.
the
I paused it. Thank you, Amanda, MBS, and Rosetta. I appreciate you. I'm going to let us watch this, and you know I'm going to do what I got to do.
fate of undersea explorer Stockton Rush's Titan submersible on its way to the Atlantic grave of the Titanic. The questions, the second guessing, David Pogue tells us, are likely to
What's his name again, y'all? David Pogue. Can you put his name in the chat? Spell it how you want to. David Pogue. David Pogue is as responsible for this bullshit as Stockton Rush. If you ask me, they frat brothers. And where are those extra PlayStation controllers he said would be on there?
continue for a long time to come.
Welcome in anyway.
Last summer, a company called OceanGate invited Sunday Morning to join an expedition to the Titanic. At the time, I was thrilled.
Next time I come out of this doorway, I'll either be a changed man.
I want you to take note of his posture. Now, we did this a lot with Jaguar. We did this a lot with Sharp when we broke down the I almost called that nigga Boosie. The blue face and what's that baby's name? Krishan Rock interview with Sharp. We talked a lot about body language, and we talk a lot about body language on this show because it's an indicator. And I want us to notice his posture and how upright he is, how he's looking directly into the camera, and just take note.
I was thrilled.
See, as he talks, he's direct, he's confident, he's straight to the camera. His eyes are bright and big and right at the camera. Ain't no confusion about how
Next
he
time I come out of
feels.
this doorway, I'll either be a changed man forever or cursing the bad weather.
As the whole world knows now, OceanGate's business was taking adventure seekers on these Titanic dives
Well, we're sitting on the Titanic. We
Yeah.
are on the Titanic.
Excuse
for
me.
$250,000 a ticket.
Now you see this footage is still used, right? The same footage is still used. Now watch what this man says.
On a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible called the Titan.
Carbon fiber is a great material. It's better than titanium. It's better than a lot of other materials.
This is Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate and the designer of the sub. Last Sunday, as he was piloting the sub to the Titanic, it imploded, killing him
Excuse
and
me.
his 4 passengers.
Shout outs to his arrogance for stopping the bleeding. Some things just have to happen quickly. You have no idea how many times this submersible went under and it wasn't supposed to. Like this death could have happened 3 or 4 expeditions ago, 3 or 4 excursions, 3 or 4 trips, 3 or 4 contracts, 3 or 4 clients, 3 or 4 customers ago. This very same thing could have very well happened because, as someone else noted, this thing wasn't made to stand this long for this many times.
We spent 9.
Now, look how this man is looking at the camera. His chin is not up. His shoulders aren't back. He's looking down and at the camera because he ought to be ashamed. He too arrogant to say, y'all, I shouldn't be coming before you saying nothing but I'm sorry. I need to lay down my journalist badge for a minute and go back and read a couple of them 101 books on integrity so that I can make sure that I do this job with integrity in a way that doesn't lead people down this path again. I'm sorry. That's me. No. He about to talk his way around it. He might as well be a politician.
Days at sea with Rush last summer, and in wake of the tragic news, we thought you might like to see more of what we saw and hear more of what.
In wake of the tragic news, we thought you might want to see the actual real footage. I got a problem with the way this is presented. There's no responsibility. There's no accountability. There's no apology. It's not even a real retraction. It's just, we're going to produce another story and tell you even more. No, you're going to show us what we should have seen in the very fucking first place.
Stockton Rush said.
The Titan wasn't like any previous deep-sea submersible. There was no dashboard, just a touchscreen computer and a single power button.
We only have one button, that's it.
Wait a minute, I've seen submersibles, and they are banks of controls. Like
Did he include any of this fucking footage in his first story, comparing this piece of shit to a real submersible that he's seen? His empirical knowledge was never imparted into the story he released as a journalist. Did we ever see any of this stock footage of a real submersible in the original story? Did we hear him say it didn't have a dashboard? Did we hear him say, I've seen submersibles. This is a piece of shit. He didn't include that. That was crucial knowledge. That was critical information.
Exactly. This is to other
cockpit after cockpit. This don't look nothing like what I seen before. You mean to tell me you gonna bring people out in this shit right here and charge them? I mean, he said it. Now, you see his body language. This man got his shoulders all up. He's scared to say what need to be said. But at least he's saying a little bit, but he didn't include that in his original story.
submersibles what the iPhone was to the BlackBerry.
But many of its components seemed surprisingly cheap. For views.
Did he ever say that in his first story? No. He said off the shelf, jerry rigged. This nigga said cheap. Straight up cheap. That is a plain word that we don't have to wonder what it means. Everybody know what cheap means. And he didn't use that information. Y'all, I really appreciate you for taking us down this rabbit hole. Because when y'all said y'all wanted to talk about this, I was like, okay, it's going to be one quick show. Let's go. But when I say we got to get in the habit of thinking like this, in such a way that this shit doesn't pass us, because this man should have included that information. And whatever has to happen to bring justice to the situation for those who should be justified, let it be.
Outside the sub, he had installed store-bought security cameras. As for the ceiling lights,
I got these from Camper World.
and then there was the steering unit.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! So it seems like a lot of the way you made this is by taking off-the-shelf parts and sort of MacGyvering them together.
Was that in the first story? It seems like the way you made this was by taking off-the-shelf parts and MacGyvering them together. He is slashing this nigga. He is slaying him to death. He is breaking him all the way down. And why don't we get to see it? Why don't we get to see the true interaction? I mean, if you're going to tell the story, tell the motherfucking story. They had a conversation that we should have been made aware of 6 months ago when we had a decision on how to spend our children's birthday week. We could go to Canada and do this submersible. You know, he gave us a little $100,000 discount. All of us can go for like $1.5 million. You know, we could scrape that up together amongst 5 of us, 4 of us. Or we can go to Disneyland. Which one we gonna do? You know? 6 months ago when we were planning our vacations, our summer vacations, he should have told us that these things, in his opinion, were cheap, See, the reason why he didn't was because this nigga done sued before, right? Remember what happened to Oprah when she said don't eat beef? They stressed her out so bad her hair went natural. That was a bad hair year for Oprah. The year that them farmers, them cow farmers or whatever they are, came at Oprah for saying don't eat beef, and that's how she lost weight. But you're not gonna invite me to do a story, and I don't do the motherfucking story. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I used to sell advertising for a radio station in Cincinnati. And I just had this personal standard. There were some businesses I just wouldn't do business with. I wouldn't sell advertising to rent to own furniture places because they gouge black people. You paying for furniture for 2 years that you should have paid for already. I wouldn't sell advertising to check cashing companies, liquor stores, those cash advance companies. There was one that came to me who did cash advances for business, and when I sat down with him, he was surprised I had questions for him. Well, you want to use my platform, and while you are paying me, I have a responsibility to my audience. I know my demographic. My demographic spends more money in this country than any other demographic in the world, but we happen to be the poorest and the most impressionable. So I'm not about to take this back. And shout outs to my the president of our radio station, who also happened to be my friend Tracy. Tracy, what's your last name, baby? Okay, maybe I'm not supposed to say it. But she's an amazing judge in Cincinnati, going through some hellish shit with that political establishment. But she never told me that wasn't okay. She would bring me leads, and I would be like, they're not good for our community. I can't advertise that. I can't. I would never. I would never, And so, like, I just think that I've always felt like there's a certain amount of integrity that we have to have when we have a platform. I think that's something my parents instilled in me when I was young, when they told me that even if you are offered a role, that don't mean you got to take off your shirt on camera. I mean, if you got the chops, you got the chops. You ain't got to be naked just to get a role. That was something that was very important that they let me know, since we live so close to Hollywood. But here, this journalist slash influencer uses his platform incorrectly, and so does CBS, because this footage passed so many tables before it got to us. Somebody could have made this a real piece. Somebody could have had the balls to make this a real piece, and maybe not put it on this show, unless there was a business arrangement that confined the parameters, the angle, as we call it. It's quite possible. It's quite possible that there's an arrangement. Thank you, Rosetta. I appreciate that encouragement. I mean, it costs me a lot of money sometimes to not bring in a client. But hey, this is my responsibility. I got access to millions of people through this doggone radio station. And what I advertise on this radio station, I got to sleep at night thinking about how I pay my bills. I just do. I got way too good a pussy to be selling it. You got to give me your whole life. Give me some more than money. Yes, Tracy Hunter. That's my girl. That's my homegirl. She was my boss at the radio station. She was a mentor to me in a lot of ways. And I've been praying for her as she's going through what she's going through. The modern day lynching that she's got the strength to endure and overcome in so many ways. Yeah, I love her. I love her. I love her. And I love her. I do. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are seeing now why I had the passion that I had when we watched that first video, because there's a responsibility here. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You got to understand the demographic of the Sunday morning show. They're older people. They watching shit in the background. They getting ready for church. Literally. They just watching this. It's a feel-good show. CBS Sunday Morning is a feel-good show. They've got a demographic of older white people who just want to feel good on a Sunday morning before they go fishing or go to church or go see their mama or whatever. It's just a feel-good show. So they got to keep it that way. And that's why I'm not monetized, because we still be talking about Jaguar Wright if I had to depend on y'all to pay my bills. I really just trust that my vibe attracts my tribe, and y'all don't have to be my tribe in any followership hierarchy like Nature Boy. I just trust that my soul tribe will be found by the vibe that I find myself in, and I got far away from that shit to find out who the real niggas are, and y'all the real niggas. And I love it. I love it. So anyway, I wanted to just point that out. Let me continue. Y'all, this sativa got me rambling.
Does that not raise anybody's eyebrows in the industry?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely an outlier. There were a lot of rules out there that didn't make engineering sense to me.
Everyone I know.
Did he put any of that? He said, does this not raise a lot of eyebrows? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of niggas that say I'm crazy and I'm going to kill somebody. But that shit don't make no sense to me. Why didn't he include that in his story? Can somebody tell me, maybe in the chat, because I try not to be a misunderstanding type of bitch. But right now, I'm a judgmental, misunderstanding, domineering, dominatrix, dogmatic type of hoe. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you got to help me make it make sense. Why wouldn't they include this? I want to show y'all what you didn't see. I want to show y'all that we told him. We told him. But y'all didn't tell us. We pay your bills. Oh, no. He paid your bill. I got you. Because that was paid for. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I'm sorry. I'm catching up on these comments. Well, hello there, John Fernine. Good evening. How are you? Oh, the gang is all here. The brains are in the building. Yeah, the brains are in the
Keeps
building.
asking me the same question. Why would you get on that dangerous sub?
Dumbass.
Well, first of all, Stockton Rush had the credentials.
This part. John Fernine, you came at the wrong time. Girl, I ain't saying that about white people all night. Now I gotta do it. Because he's right here. And it's at that point. So, earmuffs to the white people who don't like to hear white people talked about. Shout outs to y'all who love to hear us drag white people. Because some of y'all love to hear it. Y'all love to hear it. But anyway, this ain't no drag. This just the truth. Listen. We watched the video last week where this very same man said he had the credentials. He was an aeronautics student. He was a blue blood. Two of his ancestors, or he's the descendant. Umar Johnson's got to make that make sense to us. The difference between an ancestor, descendant. I don't know. I don't be claiming people I'm not related to. Shit. My family is good. We all look alike, and we all got the same little personality. You know my people if you meet them, because we like to fight, and we could drink you under the table. Listen. Anyway, two of his family members were signers of the Declaration of Independence, which means they were white men with a superioristic mindset who most likely owned black people and at least property, which was black people. So he comes from slave owners. He's a real white guy. Now that's what this man said last week. Let's see what he say right here.
He majored in aerospace engineering.
Aerospace. He majored in aerospace engineering. Raise your hand because we gonna do this. We gonna do this. Raise your hand if you got a job that ain't got nothing to do with what you went to school to do. If you just fell into a career. If you just chase the money and let the money follow you. If you figured out along the way what you were good at and it didn't have really nothing to do with what you went to school to do. Or if you just found out, okay, if I do this, I'll make money. I don't really like it. I'm not really good at it, but I found out that I'm able to make money from it. Or I can make enough money from it that I ain't probably got to work no more after that. Listen, raise your hand if you just floated into an opportunity, or as somebody I used to know said, if you just hit a lick. I don't give a fuck about this nigga's picture. What does that have to do with him? Anything. Fuck him. So we're showing him as a young, handsome, powerful, tall, dark, handsome white man. Well, that ain't what he looked like now. His hair is gray. Or whatever. Why are we showing? I mean, they always show black people with their mugshots. That's why if you ever see any of mine, you know I'm smiling. That's what my daddy told me. He said, baby, never let them see you sweat. If they ever catch you enough that they take a picture of you, make sure you smiling. And she is. But why are we looking back at this 30, 40-year-old picture of this man? And this is what we're supposed to connect to about him. CBS is still covering up. I am Team Hitlerlick too. I am Team Hitlerlick too. Listen, I let the licks hit me because I like it. Ooh, that's nasty. Anyway, why are we looking at this picture and connecting with this memory of this man as if that's who he is? He was an aerospace engineer. Major. That's the sky. Way up in the airplanes, helicopters. What else is aerospace? It ain't the ocean. Come on. Man, do you go to your doctor who studied to be an attorney? Do you go to your attorney who studied to be a nutritionist, or your nutritionist who studied to be a mechanic, or a mechanic who studied to be a hairdresser? Now you will find that a hairdresser can do absolutely anything else. They do hair because they want to. They are usually the most talented, multi-talented people on the planet. Shout outs to Bevan. Listen. But do you trust someone to do something in their old age that they didn't study at any point? Where are his credentials to take people down to the depths of the ocean, 4,000 leagues under the sea, in a homemade vessel without any physical connection to an actual certified vessel? Where are the credentials? Are we really just now really going to tell us black people that because this man is white, that makes it all right? I heard this man say, when this white man was telling people how to make some fried chicken or something in a pressure cooker. He said, he was telling them to season it. He said, if your chicken is white, it ain't all right. And this is a white man talking. I loved it. Anyway, here we go.
At Princeton, he designed and flew.
He went to Princeton. Just like everybody else with rich parents.
Flew his own airplanes.
He designed and flew his own what? I need y'all in the chat because I ain't got no co-host tonight. He designed and flew his own submarines or airplanes. Where they at though? Where the bodies at though? Man, paper airplanes.
He designed previous submersibles.
He designed previous submersibles. Y'all, what do y'all see in front of you on this screen? See, one thing we learned in school, the photos should match with, I mean, you're telling a story through the visuals. Like, you make it easy for the people who are watching the story to hear what you're saying with the visuals. They match up, they illustrate, they augment the story. Thank you, Jackie O, for bringing that word back to me. I appreciate that. Shout outs to you. This man, what is he doing? Emptying a trash can? Catching fish? The fuck is going on? And why is he barefoot? Is that professional attire?
Second, he was emphatic that the important part.
He was emphatic. That was one reason why he trusted him, because he was emphatic. A rowboat. Oh, a life-size Lego boat. That's what I see too. He designed and flew airplanes. What that got to do with a doggone submersible vessel?
The Titan were rock solid, like the carbon fiber body.
He was emphatic. that it was rock solid. Even though people told him, real scientists educated him and told him, dude, this is shoddy as shit.
For which NASA served as a consultant.
There's certain things that you want to be buttoned down, and that's the
Y'all, this is the carbon fiber being applied to the hull, is what we're supposed to be being led to believe. But I don't know why this would be happening right now. If they're inside, this has to be stock footage.
Once the pressure vessel is, you're certain it's not going to collapse on everybody, everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
Third, I was convinced by an expert, P.H. Nargeolet, the veteran.
You mean the late P.H. Nargeolet? You mean the former P.H. You mean the dead? You mean, okay, so you mean the P.H. Nargeolet who was on the little toothpaste tube, toilet paper tube, paper towel tube, wrapped in carbon fiber, a knitted Twinkie, as it was said. So you talk to a dead man about it? This man was walking dead. He reached out. Excuse me. This man right here reached out to Stockton and said something don't seem right about this vessel, and Stockton assured him it would be okay. He had no empirical knowledge, no data, no everything pointed to don't do it. He was walking dead. He was a walking dead dummy. This man wasn't a professional nothing. He was an explorer. He was Indiana Jones. That was his job. His job was French explorer. The fuck is that? That's like being a philosopher. That ain't no job. What was his vocation? What was his training? What were his credentials? That man, he's gone on 37 dives down to the Titanic. He already been there. But he convinced you that it would be okay to go on a knitted Twinkie. Shout outs to I'm Just and whoever else, the collaboration of minds that came up with that one, and St. Hudson. Listen, this man who's already been to the Titanic 37 times or so and survived, convinced that man to go down there in a knitted Twinkie. Sound like somebody got paid. I mean, that's all I could think of. Listen, it's gotta be some money. It's gotta be. It's gotta be some money. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. It ain't no way this ain't involving no dollars and some cents. Okay? Because it don't make no sense. What is a professional explorer? Now I'm falling and I can't get up. That's hilarious. I said that a couple days ago. Listen. Life is but I'll let you finish that. Listen. Professional thief is what he was. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? This man didn't have a job, Tommy. He made money like Christopher Columbus, sailing the ocean blue, looking for salt and pepper and shit. Who knows what the fuck he did? He probably spent a lot of time in Bangkok doing shit he had no business doing. What in the fuck does he do? And you can tell he got that money now, or had it. Well, shout outs to his heirs, but I hate to tell y'all can't sue nobody because he signed the contract. If he signed it, saying could nobody sue, even if there was negligence involved. So he convinced you to go, even though he ain't got no job, and he's not an expert. He's like a jack of all trades. He's an Indiana Jones of sorts. Adora the Explorer. And that's why do you realize you could have died, David Pogue? And you could have taken a lot of lives with you. And your your hands are dirty, sir. There is blood on your hands, and there is blood on the producers of this story, and the editors, and all of y'all, et al, as they say.
Deep sea explorer who also perished in the Titan.
He sure did.
Over the years, he'd been to the Titanic more than just about anyone.
How many times have you been?
With the last dive, 37 times.
You've been to the Titanic 37 times?
Yes. I was in charge of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subs.
How different is the Titan from those other subs?
Completely different. Most of them, you have a sphere.
Was there never a point when you wondered about the safety of the sub at that depth?
No. 2 or 3 years ago, I have a phone call with Stockton, and he explained to me that he was doing a lot of tests. He showed me the ways they were building the stuff. I said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. No problem to dive in the sub.
I was also
now
impressed by
that
the sub.
conversation was 2 or 3 years ago. Somebody tell me, just in case we don't get to watch it, how many times was this sub rated to be able to go? I think it may have only been good for 1, because there are actual professionally built industrial standard military grade submarines that only go down there once, and then they get museumanized. They become part of somebody's collection. They become cultivated, and they have no more use because they're no longer safe. And that's one. These titanium ones. One. This conversation that Jean-Claude Van Damme or Jacques Cousteau had. Ooh, he died from his explorations. Remember, Jacques Cousteau went to the St. Easter Island. Hey, come on, somebody. North Sentinel Island. Hey. And them Africans came off the island, and they was like, come on, Jacques, welcome home, baby. And they ain't never seen him again. Oh yes, they did. He survived that. They shot at him. I got the story wrong. That was that white dude that went not too long ago who disappeared, trying to spread Christianity hither and to. Jacques Cousteau, they shot arrows at his boat while it was on the water. And he realized he was in dangerous territory and got the fuck on. He was also another French explorer who didn't know how to stay in his motherfucking place. Fucking idiot.
7 redundant systems for returning to the surface.
These are roll weights. We can actually roll this up and those come off. That gains us some buoyancy to come back to the surface. Okay. These triple weights, we call them, are hydraulically driven.
Expedition manager Kyle Bain.
Y'all saw them rusty
Underneath
ass
this tray
weights.
hang these bags. We're around 35 pounds. And those hang down there. Typical dive will have 8 of them. We can also use our thrusters. We have enough power to thrust back up. And then under this last fairing here, we have our variable ballast tank or soft ballast. It's an air bladder.
Look at that shit.
We use a big 10,000 PSI air tank that's under the tail.
Raggedy as
To
fuck.
fill that up, fill it with air, and then it helps bring us to the surface.
There were even sandbags that detach automatically after about 16 hours, even if everyone inside had passed out. Their connectors would dissolve in seawater.
So you have a backup.
Even if everyone inside had passed out.
Correct.
Now listen very closely, please.
Finally, the crew seemed to foster a culture of safety. There were checklists, inspections before and after every dive, and a 3 strikes rule. If 3 things seemed out of the ordinary, no matter how minor, they'd cancel the dive. I learned that the hard way on our own dive.
We're in the water. We're floating. Woo!
At this point, divers are supposed to detach the sub from its launch platform.
So apparently those floats there came off the platform. That wasn't supposed to happen.
So we're scrubbing?
Yeah, I think that's the consensus up here.
Copy that.
I never did see the Titanic.
What'd he say? Did he say there it was? The bow, the door, The little things lined up by the lobsters. Look at his fucking face. Stupid ass. David Pogue. Yeah. A conspiracy, according to the Googles, is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Please tell me, was there a conspiracy here to conceal information from the public about Ocean Gate and the Titan and Stockton Rush? Was there a conspiracy to conceal information from the public? And was that harmful? And maybe even a little unlawful. I mean, people don't like to say conspiracy no more. They be scared because they don't know what the word fucking means. Take your time. Take your time. Don't let nobody bully you. You smart. Just take your time. Take your time. Just slow down. Just slow down. This is a conspiracy. These two organizations came together and concealed necessary information from the public that led to harm. This nigga said, there it was. The dining room table. There it was, Rose's dress.
I never did see the Titanic.
There it was. Everything you'd ever thought you could see. There it was, is what he said. And look at his face. Now, I'm like that lady on that plane. I want him to feel as awkward as I have to feel right now. So, yeah, David Pogue, you said, there it was. I'm angry. Controllably, but yet angry. There was a 19-year-old boy on that submarine who felt some type of way about it and only went to please his dumbass daddy. Your footage was incomplete. Your report was incomplete and deceptive. You omitted so much truth. So much truth was omitted about this entire operation. You didn't even call it a business. This time you did. In this one you did. But in the first one you didn't. David Pogue, I hope you never sleep. I hope you don't get a night's rest until you make this right.
And I wasn't unusual. In OceanGate's first 2 summers of Titanic operations, it spent a total of 50 days floating above the shipwreck.
I want to see David Pogue on the playground at 3 o'clock. I used to fight little white boys like him in the school all the time because they used to fuck with me because I was smart and I got good grades. I had to fight little white boys like him at school all the motherfucking time. I done had to punch him in the nuts plenty. My daddy taught me how to do it because they were so fucking smart. They thought because they, come on, y'all know, if you a black nerd, you know our biggest enemies were not our own people. Okay, we gonna shut that lie down. I ain't never had to struggle with my own people like I had to struggle with these white boys right here who thought that they were allowed to do more and be more just because of the whiteness of their skin and the shortness of their penis. This lying motherfucker right here. David, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you, and I hope Pulitzer is watching. He never saw the Titanic. And he did not include the information that was necessary.
50 days floating above the shipwreck site. But because of waves, bad weather, and malfunctions, the Titan actually made it to the Titanic only 12 times.
12 times. That's the first time I've heard that answer to that question. Y'all, there are submersible vessels and submarines that only go down there once. Y'all saw how that outside was buckling? Because of all the times they took it off, put more knit on there, and put it back on. The thrusters were installed backwards once. Y'all, I really appreciate y'all hanging in here for me. Y'all have been, y'all don't know how much some of us need this environment to be able to have these conversations. There's not always a space for us to talk the way we want to talk about this shit. But I think the whole world is in the same unity when it comes to the bullshit. But I want to bring in and introduce to the table this bullshit too.
But through it all, Stockton Rush defended his unconventional approach.
I mean, anything when you're trying something outside the box, people inside the box think you're nuts. Same thing when Elon Musk was doing SpaceX. Inside the box, everything's scary.
But as early as 2018, there was concern about the Titan's design.
How come none
A
of this was
former
included
employee
in the
says that when
story?
he raised safety concerns,
Come
Rush
on,
fired
man.
him. That same year, a group of submersible engineers urged Rush to seek certification
Yeah,
of the
I don't want to hear it. Have you ever heard a nigga keep up messing and come try to tell you the truth about some shit? How you gonna not tell people that this man fired someone and sued them for reporting how shoddy this shit was? This duct tape piece of shit. How was that not in your original story?
Titan by a safety agency. Rush declined, saying that regulation would stifle innovation.
At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed.
Why wasn't this in the original? Oh, yeah, I'm heated.
At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
So, Captain McLaren, have you...
That man ain't gonna look at the camera yet. He gonna look through his forehead because he know he wrong. He ain't apologized yet though. He got on that same outfit influencers wear when they fucked up and they gotta come apologize.
Spent much time in submarines?
David, my total time under the water, divorced from the outside atmosphere, is a little over 5 3/4 years. No kidding. Fact.
Retired U.S. Navy submarine captain Alfred McLaren is not impressed by OceanGate's innovations.
I mean, would you...
How come there wasn't an expert included in the original story? There was no other voice included. Not even Najee. Nobody even reached out to Najee and said, oh, we see that you're scheduled to be on this in the next few years. We see that you've been in communication with Stockton Rush for the last 3 years. Can you come give us your opinion on it? They didn't include any other voice in the original story. Why not this man? The industry has been talking about this man for years. They've been writing him emails back to 2018. And we're just now finding out because somebody went pop in the sea that they've known about this. Why hasn't this been made public? Why wasn't the Canadian government made aware of this so that their waters could be kept safe? Why wasn't the Bahamian government made aware of this? They were made aware of Jeffrey Epstein in that situation and they got his ass out. This man was allowed to ride a murder weapon 12 times. At least it went down, all the way down 12 times. It wasn't supposed to. This was one of those things that would have happened at some point, and Stockton Rush knew it. And based on the research of David Pogue, he knew it too.
Flying an airplane that somebody excitedly tells you, well, it's going to be a lot cheaper because we found a new way of attaching the wings. Yeah, right.
He theorizes that the Titan failed not because it was made of carbon fiber, but because it was made of 3 dissimilar materials: carbon fiber, titanium, and plexiglass for the porthole.
when you have different materials, different molecular structure, they have different coefficients of expansion and compression, and then you make repeated cycles in depth.
Good
Of
night,
course, you're going to
Rosetta.
work that seal loose, and that's why submarines don't run around with any portholes at all. Come to think of it, it's a weak point.
I think there's a great almost.
How come this information wasn't included? I mean, we've all kind of looked at this thing and said, the window popped. We're not experts. If there's an expert in the room, please raise your hand in this subject matter, because we're all just speculating. Everything we're saying is speculation that I know of. But where was this guy in the original story? How is this fair and balanced, and how is this considered journalism? This was an advertisement, as St. Hudson and just said last week. This was an advertisement. And now they got to come and clean it up, hoping that we don't notice that they owe us money.
Surreal irony here, which is Titanic sank because the captain took it full steam into an ice field at night on a moonless night with very poor visibility, after he had been repeatedly warned by telegram, by Marconigram.
In an interview with Anderson Cooper, filmmaker and veteran Titanic diver James Cameron pointed out a sad parallel between Stockton Rush and the captain of the Titanic.
The arrogance and the hubris that sent that ship to its doom is exactly the same thing.
I call it European identity extremism.
That sent those people in that sub to their fate.
The world mourns the loss of Stockton Rush, P.H. Nargeolet, and their 3 passengers.
Who? The world, they tell us what to think. The world mourns. I think we are all united that this was some bullshit. That man was crazy and stupid. Those people had opportunities to read a contract and said they had time to read it and signed their lives away and that of their heirs, even the unborn. I don't know if the world is mourning. Are y'all mourning? I mean, it might be morning time somewhere right now. Anybody crying
British
over this?
billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman.
No, I don't know if y'all are familiar with that plastic surgeon. He is from Korea, but he lives in America. I think his name is Dr. Yoon. And he usually shows breaks down celebrities' faces or whatever and shows you where they got plastic surgery. He had to put his puppy down today. I'm so sad. And I commented on his post earlier today that I'm mourning with you. I always feel sad for people when they have to put their animals down. That is a hard thing to have to do. I know what mourning feel like. I'm not doing it for these choicitarians, these maniacs, that's for sure. What they call them, Titaniacs. They motherfucking dummies. I'm not mourning.
Shahzada Dawood, and his son Suleiman.
Poor
Already,
guy.
there's talk
That's
of
the only one I'm
restrictions
mourning
and
for is that
regulations
baby.
and lawsuits. Will the OceanGate disaster mean fewer people going adventuring? Well, every year people do die skydiving and scuba diving and climbing Mount Everest. Tragic every time, and yet people still keep coming. Some people just have that itch. For them, danger is the point. The risk of dying.
Isn't this the same footage he used to say they saw it? I'm not gonna let that go. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna let that
For
go.
them,
that was the same exact footage he used to say they saw it. He still ain't said that they got that footage from the OceanGate website. But Fox News had the integrity of all news stations to source OceanGate for the footage. He never explains how he used this footage in his story. I would have had to explain that. Ma'am.
Danger is the point. The risk of dying gives meaning to living. I think Stockton Rush was among them.
Was he Michael Jackson? Nipsey Hussle? Aretha Franklin? Martin Luther King? No. He was a businessman. He was a businessman who risked lives. How much money did he make from this one? There were 4 people on it. What's that, $1 million? On this one. £1,000,000 rather, because I haven't heard it in dollars. I've only heard it in British sterling, whatever that's called. That's crazy to me.
I wanted to be sort of the Captain Kirk. I didn't want to be the passenger in the back. And I realized that the ocean is the universe. That's where life is.
So if the ocean is the universe and that's where life is, why not pay homage to it properly before you violate it with your submersible? Why not pay homage to her over there? Why not give your offerings to the gods and goddesses of the ocean and the souls of that still live at the Titanic and are trapped there? The people who died because of that tragedy, why not handle that with more respect rather than just diving down in there? Telling y'all, them oceans don't play. And we still gave him the last word.
Catastrophic implosion.
Is that not crazy? How they painted this man and still allowed him to have the last word as though he deserved it. That's nuts to me. That's nuts to me. That is absolutely crazy. Y'all, let me give us a little bit of music. Hold on. Now, I do have another video that I would love for us to watch. It is a little bit longer though. Hold on. Sorry. Caught me off guard. God damn, mister. Just bang the door. Knock next time. Shoot. If y'all can hear him, go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat. Let me know we on the same page. If y'all do want to watch this other video, it comes from this scientist who really just kind of breaks down what happens, and he's the one that goes into detail talking about how this submersible wasn't really designed to go down into the water that deep nor that many times. And I want to leave it up to you guys. If you want to just watch it on your own in the breakdown playlist, tell me in the chat. But if you would like me to go ahead and download it real quick and we can watch it together, then please let me know. Let me check my chat. Where's my phone? I know it's late, y'all. Oh, we are still ahead of the game. I still got a half an hour left in the time I scheduled for this show. So that's good. Where's my phone? Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. I can't see nothing because my light is so bright. Jesus. Y'all go ahead and grab a snack. Okay. Smile for me said, let's watch together. Go ahead and grab you a snack, grab you a drink real quick. While I get this video downloaded, it's just going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. Somebody said I shouldn't eat on camera. Fuck you. This is my hobby. Let's see. Let's see. Was it this one? Now, what y'all think about them human remains they say they found? Why they keep covering shit up with white cloth? Is it blood and guts on it? No. They're making shit seem a whole lot more interesting than it really is. Is it? Where is my phone? I'm just making sure I got the right one, y'all. And I'm trying to find my phone. I think this is the one. Thanks for hanging in there. I do this show late on Saturday nights because that's when I feel like it. Y'all ever get off work and need to decompress? I think some of y'all, I'm your decompression tonight, right? Well, I generally work on Saturdays. And after I get off work, I don't want to talk to nobody. But Mary Jane. I don't know where my damn phone is. Was this the one? Let me see. That wasn't the one. What is it? Shout outs to Mystical for playing so well. Don't you agree? Where is my phone? I'm just trying to find this video, y'all. Take a break. Take a breather. Where are we at? We are looking for... It's coming in a minute, y'all. I just gotta remember which one of these is. I thought I knew. Just bear with a bitch. Wait, go back. This fruit is so good. Was it this guy? I've put so much in our playlist to get ready for this show. Was it this guy? I think it was. I think I found it. Yep, I found it. Yippee! Yippee! Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna drag this video that we're about to watch to the top of the breakdown playlist because it is way down off in there, and I want you to be able to watch it on your own as well. Let me see. Let me move it. It's a video by 2-Bit Da Vinci. Shout outs to 2-Bit Da Vinci. It's a video called Ocean Gate Submarine Disaster, What Really Happened. Damn, it's still not at the top. Hold on. I'm going to have to go in and pull it out later. That's a time waster. I'll go in and adjust it later so that you guys are able to access it much quicker. But let me go ahead and pull it up. If you guys are ready to watch this next video, and just continue to break this down a little bit more. I agree 100% with everything this man says because he's smarter than me and he knows more than me. So we're mainly watching this as a resource, and we get to be in more of our receptive energy. So now's a good time to take your thinking cap and just tilt it a little bit to the side, cock it to the side a little bit. You still got to think, but you get to receive more on this one than analyze. It's a good time to grab a snack, if you ask me. All right, y'all. Let me know if you are ready to watch this. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know you're ready to go on and watch this. And while I'm at it, if you could just go ahead and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, like or dislike this video, whether it be live or whether you be in the replay, whether you be watching the premiere. I love sneaking off from work and watching the premieres with y'all during the week. It feels like me time. I don't know if Hear Her still does this, but Hear Her TV from time to time will do a live where she's just shopping online and people just listening and giving feedback on what she buying. I love it. Just chill. Get a cup of coffee and just relax. Hold on. Let me get this next one started. Everybody say they're ready. Let's go. Let's go. I got my baby some McDonald's last Monday, and she was like, "Yeah, let's go." All right, let's get to it.
On June 18th, 2023, Titan, a submersible operated by Ocean Gate,
Please let me
went
know
missing in
if you are
international
able
waters in the
to
North Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Newfoundland,
hear and
Canada.
see this. I'm going
The
to start it
submersible was
over.
on a tourist expedition to view the wreckage of the RMS
But if you could
Titanic
just give me
with
a
5
3 or
individuals
something,
on
just tell
board,
me.
including the founder and CEO of Ocean Gate, Stockton Rush. Due to the estimated 3 days of oxygen
I'ma wait
supply, there
and
was a
let you guys
huge
let me know
rescue
if you can
effort by
hear
the
it and
U.S.
see
Coast
it.
Guard and Canada's Coast
Until
Guard,
then, I'm going to
which
talk
was
over it.
unsuccessful until early on June 22nd, when
Doobie
evidence of the wreckage
doo.
of the
Doo
vessel started to emerge,
doobie.
leading to
I'm
the
waiting
tragic
for the
conclusion
feedback to
that the
come
vessel
through.
imploded in the ocean depths and there were no survivors. As an engineer, I'm furious about what happened and the different shortcuts that were taken. We'll go through all of that today. So let's try to figure out exactly what happened and what we can learn
Thank you,
from
Want You
this. I'm
Empress.
Ricky, and this is
Okay,
Tibet Da Vinci.
let's start over.
On June 18th, 2023, Titan, a submersible operated by Ocean Gate, went missing in the international waters in the North Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. The submersible was on a tourist expedition to view the wreckage of the RMS Titanic with 5 individuals on board, including the founder and CEO of Ocean Gate, Stockton Rush. Due to the estimated 3 days of oxygen supply, there was a huge rescue effort by the U.S. Coast Guard and
If you can hear me chewing, it's on purpose. It's my contribution per fair use.
Canada's Coast Guard, which was unsuccessful until early on June 22nd, when evidence of the wreckage of the vessel started to emerge, leading to the tragic conclusion that the vessel imploded in the ocean depths and there were no survivors. As an engineer, I'm furious about what happened and the different shortcuts that were taken. We'll go through all of that today. So let's try to figure out exactly what happened and what we can learn from this. I'm Ricky, and this is Tibet Da Vinci. Let's start with what we know about the company operating the Titan submersible. Ocean Gate Incorporated is a privately held U.S. company operating out of Everett, Washington, that provides crewed submersibles for tourism, industry, and research and exploration. The company was founded in 2009 by Stockton Rush and Guillermo Solin. Stockton Rush wanted to be an astronaut.
You'll notice that he actually credits Ocean Gate with some of this footage. Why CBS didn't do that is beyond me, because it's actually illegal. For CBS News to have used that Ocean Gate footage without crediting them means they must have had a private arrangement about it. They must have given them, permission, because normally that wouldn't be allowed for CBS to use website footage. It's not even stock footage. It's actual footage from the source was Ocean Gate. And they didn't even credit them. That just further proves that they had a conspiracy.
So he got his commercial pilot license. But because of bad eyesight, he could never be a military pilot. So instead, he moved from San
That nigga
Francisco
couldn't
to
see.
Seattle to work at McDonnell Douglas as a flight test engineer for the F-15 Eagle. After attending the launch of Spaceship One in the Mojave Desert in 2004, he decided he didn't want to go up to space as a tourist. He wanted to be like Captain Kirk on the Enterprise. He wanted to explore
He's
and
an
pivoted
idiot.
his pursuit to undersea exploration. He was married to Wendy Rush, a descendant of Isidore and Ida Strauss, 2 people who actually passed away on the sinking of the Titanic, which ties into the story here today. The tragic events happened during a deep-sea tourism expedition to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, which sunk in the northern Atlantic in 1912. Before we get into the specifics of this particular tragedy, let's put just how difficult deep-sea exploration is into context.
Right.
It's easy to be in awe of aviation.
So the first thing he's going to help us understand, for those of us, because I didn't even know whales couldn't go that deep until a few weeks ago. I don't mind telling you. But the first thing he's going to help us do is put into context how difficult it really is to dive that deep.
In space exploration, because breaking free of gravity and flying through the air seem like such a feat. But in many ways, deep sea craft are the much greater engineering challenge. It all comes down to pressure. We don't think about air pressure because at sea level, it's just 14.7 pounds per square inch. That pressure is the result of the column of air that reaches above us all the way into outer space. All those air molecules above us pushing down result in that pressure. But water is a much more dense fluid than air. So for every 10 meters or 32.8 feet you dive, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere or 14.7 psi. The Titanic is sitting on the ocean floor at about 12,500 feet below sea level. The 2 broken parts of the ship, the bow and the stern, are more than 2,600 feet apart and surrounded by debris after over 100 years of being in the bottom of the ocean. The wreckage is 400 miles off the coast of Newfoundland in Canada. You can see here. Let's put this depth into perspective. Imagine laying on your back with a 1 foot by 1 foot board, okay? And how much weight you would feel on that board. At 100 meters, the size of a soccer or football field, we have the pressure of 10 atmospheres or 145 psi, which means on that 1 by 1 foot board, we would feel the weight of 20,880 pounds. That is 4.7 Tesla Model Ys. At 381 meters, 1,250 feet, we have the height of the Empire State Building in New York City. At this depth, we would feel 30.
Let me give us a break so I can explain what he's explaining. He's basically talking about how the different depths of water are equivalent to a certain amount of weight being on our chest, as far as the pressure that our body would feel being at different depths of water.
7.4 atmospheres of pressure, and that 1 by 1 foot board would feel the weight of 80,000 pounds. At 490 meters, we have the max dive depth of the C class of U.S. Navy submarine. Here, we'd feel 48.5 atmospheres of pressure. That 1 by 1 foot board would feel the weight of 94,000.
And that's the max depth of that U.S. Navy submarine. That's the max depth, 490 meters or 1,607 feet.
800 pounds. At 828 meters, we have the height of the Burj Khalifa. Here, we'd feel 82 atmospheres. That weight on the board would be 173,520 pounds. Now, this is around the same depth as the deepest diving submarine in operation today, the Oscar-class submarine in the Russian Navy.
So the deepest diving submarine that's still around today only went 2,716 feet. And he's still going. And that's 1,866 pounds of pressure per square inch that your chest would feel being that deep into the water.
At 3,800 meters sits the wreckage of the Titanic. Here, the pressures are 376 atmospheres. That 1 by 1 foot board on our chest would have the weight of 797,000 pounds. The Ocean Gate Titan was rated for a mass dive depth of about 4,000 meters. Now that might sound insane, but actually it's not even the record for the deepest human beings have been. That honor goes to James Cameron and the Deep Sea Challenger built in Australia in 2012. The Deep Sea Challenger reached the deepest part of the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean, the deepest point on Earth, at a mind-boggling 11,000 meters or 36,000 feet. Here, we'd feel 1,090 atmospheres of pressure, and that 1 by 1 foot board would have the weight of 2.3 million pounds on it. Compare that to the difference in pressure of an airplane at cruising altitude of 36,000 feet, where outside the pressure might be 3 psi, and on the inside, between 10 and 12. And that hopefully puts in perspective why more people have been to space than have been into the deepest parts of our oceans. Now let's talk about the red flags that plagued OceanGate.
Let me stop here. Excuse me, y'all, for chewing. Let me stop here and engage with y'all for a second. I just want to make sure, did that information make sense? What he was explaining about the depths of the ocean and how much pressure that would feel like, and you know, credible vessels that have not even gone that deep. Did that information help make more sense out of this situation as well? I'd love to know. If you could just tell me in the chat, I'm happy to know.
From the get-go. By the way, OceanGate just sounds like a walking scandal ready to happen. First, the design limitations of the Titan require that the hatch be bolted down by 17 to 18 bolts from the outside. This means there's no way for the passengers inside to open the hatch. They'd have to rely on ground crews to open it. Now, this is understandable because these deep sea vessels have to be incredibly tight. They have to be very strong. The water seals have to hold, and that's all complicated. But I think this shows you why it's really important to have backup systems and have some sort of an explosive detonation cord you can pull to blow the hatch in the event that the craft surfaced and no one found it. And that was actually one of the fears early on, is that the vessel could actually surface
I'm glad
be at the surface somewhere along the Atlantic unfound and still die from suffocating because they couldn't open the hatch and the air could run out. The Titan also didn't have GPS or other navigational instruments on board, and it didn't have a locator beacon either, like a black box on an aircraft. Most subs use GPS for near-surface navigation, which doesn't work in deeper waters. In deeper waters, they use dead reckoning course information obtained by the ship's gyro compass, measured speed, and estimates of local ocean currents. They also rely on inertial navigation systems, which is an estimated position source utilizing acceleration, deceleration, pitch, and roll from the computers that transmit this data. The Titan, in contrast, appeared to rely only on data provided by the surface support vessel. In 2019, OceanGate published a blog post
janky.
explaining why the Titan was not certified by any ship authority, which was a huge red flag. OceanGate stated, the vast majority of marine and aviation accidents are actually the result of operator error, not mechanical failure, and argued that classification focused solely on the physical state of the vessel and not the corporate actions, which are characterized as a constant committed effort and a focused corporate culture of maintaining high-level operational safety.
Now, wait
That
a
sounds
minute.
like absolute bullshit.
It does sound like bullshit. Not only that, this man said on camera he threw safety out the window. His motto was, if you want to be safe, don't get out of bed. He's full of shit. There's no way he went down there 12 times and he had safety in mind.
To me, I'm sorry. Journalist David Progue, who rode on the Titan to view the
Bitch-ass
Titanic in
nigga David
2022,
Progue.
noted during his expedition, the surface support vessel lost track of the Titan for about 4 to 5
Do
hours.
you notice that when he's
meant-
talking to them, he's still talking through his forehead? Because he know he wrong. He's being deceptive. He's trying to cover his ass. And I hope he gets
that
sued.
adding a locator beacon was actually discussed during this event. They could still send short text to the sub, but they had no idea where it was. It was quiet and very tense, he says. And they shut off the ship's internet to keep us from tweeting. Oh my God, that is terrifying. And they've already known that this could happen. The craft was also controlled by a video game controller, which sounds like some...
He said David Pogue didn't tell us this in his original or his follow-up story. But this man knows that David Pogue said they shut off the ship's internet to keep us from tweeting because it was more important to control what people were saying and what was going out there about this thing, Fire Festival, somebody, than to fess up to it and deal with it. They shut off the internet and the ship to keep them from tweeting, and he didn't even tell us that.
Cool Silicon Valley way of thinking, beanbag chairs and break rooms, but it's downright stupid. Military spec products go through incredible rigorous testing, making them safe in all operating environments. For example, as expensive as Apple's Vision Pro headset is at $3,500, it is downright cheap compared to the $400,000 that it costs to get a helmet for the F-35 fighter jet. And the reason why, well, lower volumes, of course, but also because they have to go through unbelievable vibration testings to make sure the welds will all hold up, make sure that the higher levels of radiation at 40 to 50,000 feet won't do any damage long term.
And it ain't
to
no
make sure
duct tape on that
absolute
helmet.
reliability. Now let's talk about how we got to the Titan. OceanGate started by purchasing Antipodes, which is a submersible back in 2012, which was their first test bed for testing and learning about this entire endeavor. Next, they built Cyclops 1, which is in collaboration with University of Washington's Applied Physics Laboratory. And this was a deeper sea vessel capable of reaching a max depth of 500 meters. Still nowhere near deep enough for the Titanic, but
Now, I just want to correct this because University of Washington said they don't know her.
this was their next step and their next iteration. In the early design, the hull was made of carbon fiber, and the whole submersible would dive vertically with pivoting seats to ensure the passengers remained upright. Now, it was said that Boeing worked with OceanGate and the University of Washington on their initial design analysis, but we'll get back to that in a second because there's a little bit more to that story. Finally, they would arrive at the Titan, their final product that would actually be rated for 4,000 meters. One of the key takeaways about the Titan is that this is a carbon fiber and titanium hulled submersible. Now, this is really exotic in the world of materials. We've been using high-strength steel, aluminum for a long time, and we have data, engineering data on how they fail and what to look for and test methodologies. But carbon fiber is still quite exotic. In fact, any car you've ever driven probably doesn't have much carbon fiber in it. The only exceptions are really, really high-end supercars, or even in the case of aviation, more recently with the Boeing Dreamliner. But before that, we've always used aluminum and titanium.
Miss Nodders, if you still up, wasn't it Anna Airlines that owed us that money from that flight we bought that they never
even in the case of
officially
aviation-
canceled? And we was about to go down to the Anna Airlines office in Chongqing because we had them on the phone and they never answered and they owed us money. Shout outs to Bank of America for making that right. That was the first ticket we bought. Trying to leave China. And they didn't even tell us they canceled the flight. They just never sent us confirmations or nothing. Could never get them on the phone. They just wasn't gonna deal with it. All right, Anna.
More recently with the Boeing Dreamliner. But before that, we've always used aluminum and titanium and other materials like that. So just generally, there's less known about it, and it's also really difficult to make sure that you get it right. OceanGate signed a contract with Spencer Composites in January 2017 for the carbon composite cylinder. This was the same company that built the composite pressure hull for the single-person deep flight Challenger for Steve Fossett. After Fossett passed away, Deep Flight Challenger was acquired by Richard Branson's Virgin.
Did y'all catch that year? 2017 was when they contracted for the hull to be done. That was 6 years ago. They've done 12 dives all the way down in those last 6 years. That thing wasn't designed for that. Not over and over again. It barely made it
Oceanic,
once.
which had announced plans to conduct a series of 5 dives to the deepest points of the ocean. But Deep Flight refused to endorse the plan as the craft had been designed to dive only once. This is important. We'll get back to this in a second. In a statement, they said
That's real important. That's real important. Because this man bought this sub.
Deep Flight refused to endorse.
You know this crazy nigga right here. Always got his name in some shit. Richard Branson. He bought it and he wanted to go down, and they're like, nah, son. We're not doing that. It's pretty, but it was only made to go down once. And that piece of shit, shoddy, homemade piece of shit.
The plan as the craft had been designed to dive only once. This is important. We'll get back to this in a second. In a statement, they said the problem is the strength of the Deep Flight Challenger does decrease after each dive. It's strongest on the first dive, said Adam Wright, the firm's president. It was designed to set the record, dive to the deeps, and then be retired as an exhibit in the Smithsonian. This is a really crucial part because sometimes in engineering, what it comes down to is the operational lifetime and understanding it. This might have been at play here. And by the way,
he said operational lifetime. Sometimes as an engineer, it comes down to the operational lifetime and understanding that. But Richard Stockton, what's his name? Stockton Rush said it'd be user error before it be anything else. He had no cognizance about operational lifetime. He said nothing about operational lifetime. He never even defended it or purported that it would have any sort of operational lifetime.
I tried to go to oceangate.com to get a little bit more information,
But
and I noticed that their site was taken down
shut it
on
down.
June 22nd. So after the disappearance of the Titan in 2023, the University of Washington stated that APL, their Applied Physics Laboratory, had no involvement in design, engineering, or testing of the Titan submersible. A Boeing spokesperson also said that Boeing was not a partner on the Titan and did not design or build it. A NASA spokesperson said that NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center had a Space Act agreement with OceanGate, but did not conduct testing and manufacturing via its workforce or facility.
He just used their names.
All of these partnerships that they had are now being revealed that they were not really partnerships. This is a classic example of.
And why didn't CBS News vet this? They showed it on Obama's birth certificate, though, didn't they? Why didn't CBS News vet these partnerships this man said he had? Go behind and do some real journalism work. Because they were being
Company
paid.
trying to get credibility by partnering with NASA. How good does that sound? But what exactly they did with NASA isn't really well understood. It could have just been as simple as, hey, can we rent out a little bit of space over in this corner of your facility? This is probably the most infuriating for me as an engineer. David Lockridge, the OceanGate Director of Marine Operations, filed a quality control report in January 2018, stating that no non-destructive testing, or NDI, of the carbon fiber hull had taken place to check for voids or delaminations in the carbon fiber layup that could compromise the hull's strength. NDI, non-destructive investigation, NDT, non-destructive testing, is a way of checking something to make sure that it's safe without actually breaking it apart, because really the best way to check if something is safe is to cut it in half, break it, and go, yep, it's safe. But of course, you've destroyed the product. So NDT is something that engineers lean on all the time to make sure things are safe. And in the world of carbon fiber, it's that much more difficult because carbon fiber doesn't bend or yield or get grooves and cracks the way other materials do. It requires a lot of information and insight. Lockridge was told that OceanGate would rely on the real-time acoustic monitoring system, which he felt would not warn the crew of potential failure with sufficient time to safely abort the mission and evacuate. The day after he filed his report, he was summoned to a meeting in which he was told the acrylic window that you look out of was only rated for 1,300 meters because OceanGate would not fund the design of a window rated for 4,000 meters.
The window was rated for 1,300 meters because OceanGate wouldn't fund a window. Although the passengers were funding the research, OceanGate was buying espresso machines and leather seats and luxury cars and houses, I'm sure. He should have spent some money getting his wife's face
In that
done.
meeting, he reiterated his concerns and added that he would refuse to allow crew testing without a hull scan. Lockridge was dismissed from his position as a result. OceanGate filed a lawsuit against Lockridge that June, accusing him of improperly sharing proprietary trade secrets and fraudulently manufacturing a reason to get rid of him. This suit was settled in November 2018. I'm sure it was all sealed off and we'll never know exactly what was agreed upon, but that is absolutely terrifying. During a human piloted descent on December 10th, 2018, Stockton Rush used the vertical thrusters to overcome unexpected positive buoyancy when descending past 10,000 feet. These submersibles are like a balloon with air inside, right? So it's hard for them to dive. And so they have different ways and ballast systems to be able to accomplish that. But for whatever reason, around 10,000 feet, he had to use vertical thrusters to continue his descent. And when this happened, it caused interference with the communication systems. Between spinning propellers, the disturbance in the wake of the water coming off those propellers and everything else, they lost contact for 1 hour. Now, Rush was thrilled to call himself the second person to solo dive to 13,000 feet after James Cameron. But if that was me, I would be terrified. I would come back and figure out what on earth happened with the comms and what can we do? Can we change the frequency? Can we have a backup system? Can we have a tether? Whatever has to happen to never let that happen again.
It wasn't important. It happened several times.
And we know it
after
happened
that.
again because of that report from the reporter. After these tests were completed in January 2020, the hull of the Titan began showing signs of cyclical fatigue, and the craft was derated to 3,000 meters. Now, the hull was repaired and again rated again for 4,000 meters of diving depth. But by who? And was everything done properly?
By
It's
who?
impossible to know. I decided to make this video because I think we're at the precipice of a new age of exotic tourism and exploration, between going to the space, to go to the moon, low Earth orbit, or deep sea diving. We're at the edge of seeing more of this. Wealthier people, the people that were involved in this particular incident, always want to have that next thing. And so if we're going to do this, it's important to realize just how unsafe this can be. Unlike commercial aviation, there are no regulatory boards involved here. This is international water. The company did have to register the parent vessel that takes people from Canada, right? So that had to be registered. But what happens out in open waters is not very highly regulated. This is a really tough story for me because as an engineer, I do love ambition. I mean, building your own vessel, carbon fiber 5 inches thick, it sounds cool. But as an engineer, I also realize how important safety measures and protocols are. Aviation is a perfect example. If you ever hop on an airplane, you cannot imagine how safe you are because of all the people involved, from company members like Boeing and Airbus personnel, engineering test officials, all the way to the FAA and other regulatory approval bodies that make sure every little thing is regulated and controlled. There is none of that going on
Right.
here.
Right.
One of the first things to realize about an implosion of the vessel is that there was probably not a lot of suffering. The people probably just died instantly. We mentioned how much weight you would feel at these depths, and you would pretty much just get crushed. So what happened is they built a vessel which was in and of itself pretty impressive. The carbon fiber layup, the composite structure, titanium. This was an exotic
Now that
craft,
it
and it
was, I
had
mean,
a viewing
obviously it was impressive, but it was also incompetent.
window to go see the Titanic. These are things that human beings could not do before. But the problem is every craft, every vessel, every engineering device has an operational lifetime. Now, the way engineers do this is by testing something and figuring out how many cycles can we hit this with before problems start to emerge. And then they add a safety factor. For example, your car will work almost forever. There's no pressure involved. It's just atmospheric pressures at sea level, right? Now, if it rusts and things, that could change the equation. But your car is fine. How about aircraft? Aircraft are pressurized and depressurized, pressurized, depressurized, right? And you can't really inspect every little nook and cranny. So what engineers figured out is if we're going to build this out of aluminum, if we're going to build it from carbon fiber, we have to do a test every 1,000 hours, 500 hours, whatever the case might be. A complete overhaul where they tear down the wall panels and inspect, and they'll actually get out and check for any cracks and other impurities and imperfections, because any crack or any little divot can be a stress concentration point where it'll start to impound and fail.
Shout out to
Then
everybody still
finally,
hanging
they'll
out
say
after
at this
midnight.
many hours, 20,000 flat hours, whatever the number might be, the aircraft is retired. That doesn't mean it's going to fall apart, but we know we tested it for millions of hours and nothing bad will happen in this window. And that is the operational window. Odds are a plane could probably fly for thousands more flights after that, but we don't want to do that. That is the
Right.
operational lifetime. What was the operational lifetime of the Titan? Was it ever established? They were not doing NDIs or NDTs, non-destructive testing, to see what was happening to the carbon fiber. Again, carbon fiber is a mesh weave that is laid in alternating patterns and then glued up. It is incredibly strong and incredibly impressive as an engineering material, but it's equally not as well studied. We have 100 years of history and experience with high strength steel and aluminum and other materials, but this is a new frontier. And that's why this is so important to cover. New frontiers are exciting. They're sexy. They're glamorous, right? Air travel. We're on the brink of space tourism where rich people can buy a ticket to go up and tour around the moon, have a nice little catered lunch, and come home. Whenever we have
They'll
new
never see
frontiers,
the
we
other
have
side of the
unknowns.
moon.
That's what makes it a
That's what
frontier.
we
There's
know.
not a playbook. And when you have to build vessels able to withstand the pressures of the ocean's deep, deep.
Y'all ever? I want to see who I'm in this room with. Anybody in here ever realize that we've only ever seen one side of the moon? It doesn't rotate like all the other things in space do. So we only ever seen one side of the moon. And there are so many conversations about what's on the other side.
waters, there's a lot that is unknown, and that's why we don't have commercial versions of this. I think this vessel just had some sort of a crumple or some defect or deformation. Something was happening over a couple of cycles. I mean, they did successfully go down and come back three times, and that fourth time it crumpled. Honestly, I don't think any vessel that goes to the Mariana Trench or 12,000 feet in the Atlantic should have a life more than a couple of cycles. And I think what they were trying to do, I think Stockton Rush was trying to make these tickets affordable, right? Now, they started at $125,000, double that by the time these guys went on at $250,000, right? $250,000 sounds like a ton of money. The real price for this probably should have been $1 million,
Wow.
1.5. That allows you to replace the vessel every so often, or to do complete disruptive testing to replace parts. There's a whole slew of things that have to happen. But I think in the interest of trying to be affordable, being on the ship yourself, the prestige of your reputation, trying to build a brand, trying to build a company, they took all kinds of shortcuts and did things they do not understand. And I'll be honest with you, we know more about space than we do our deep oceans or the deep earth. These are just really, really hard environments to get to. This is tragic. I was an optimist. I was hoping that we would find them somewhere and that this would all kind of be a learning lesson without loss of life. It didn't work out that way. But in engineering, we have to always learn from our mistakes. If you're a believer in freedom and these people took the risk, they knew what they were doing, I do agree with that. I'm a believer of freedom and taking your own risk or taking your own choices. But did they fully understand what this vessel was? Was it fully known? Were the risk?
Bonnie B, this is so crazy. I hope you've seen so far. I know before we started talking about this, how CBS covered it up for them and brought us out a whack ass story with part of the information, and then tried to cover their asses by telling us the whole truth later.
Really well known to them? Probably not. So those are things that we can try to improve upon. And maybe the next time somebody comes up with this idea to do deep ocean exploration, there's better methodology in place. And I would imagine it's going to get much more expensive. All right, that is a look. If you thought this story was crazy, check out this one.
Y'all, if you thought that story was crazy, this story is absolutely crazy. This whole mess is crazy. And I think it's crazy that CBS News tried to come out with a half-hearted expose of themselves without telling the whole truth. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got for you tonight. I said I'd keep the show at 3 hours. We're at 3 hours and 15 minutes with an extra video. I think we did all right. As you leave, I would ask that you please leave a like or dislike, either one. I'm going to go back and read some of these comments. It's scary that we're in a day and age when there's more credible content on YouTube than the news stories, the news sources. Right, Bonnie B? It's a mess. Y'all, please share this. Make sure this message gets out. I just like to turn on our thinking caps and get in the habit of thinking a little deeper about stuff sometimes. Even if we turn out to be completely wrong about what we thought we knew. At least we thought. That's all I'm saying. Y'all, we got some folks out in the parking lot watching y'all's cars. They did a great job tonight. Nobody's car got stolen. If you guys would just tip them on the way out. And I don't mean with that whack ass advice either. Take care of the boys. I think it's still some wings back there if y'all want to order some wings before you leave too. You know, sometimes she shut the kitchen down early. And you got to leave the club hungry. I just killed those sun chips. Good night, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. Even if you in the bushes, thank you for your good energy. The more we learn, the more we know. The more we know, the more we grow. Let me go ahead and say my good night. See who's still here. Good night, Bonnie B. Good night, Amanda. Good night, Smile for me. Good night, Puppet Master. You almost made it to the end. Good night, Sassy. Good night, One True Empress. Whew. I'm glad you rested. I'm glad your travels were safe too. Good night, Seven Blunts. Good night, Rosetta. Have a great night at work. Good night, Miss Nodders. Good night, Blue Butterfly. Some people like to think. Them the kind of people I like. Good night, M. Snope M. It was good to see you again. Good night, true love. It was a long ass live. We take a slow walk around here. We ain't in no rush. You must fucking 5 minutes. It's people like that though. Good night, Job for 9. Have a good evening to you too, beautiful. I hope you're not working tonight, but if you are, I hope it's fun. Pay advertisement. Pay advertisement. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Somebody said it's a conspiracy. Let me quit playing with Mystica. I can't keep up with him. Good night, y'all. Head on out. Y'all ain't gonna catch nothing else. Ain't nothing else popping up. Gone. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get. I'm about to go to bed and look forward to sleeping in the morning. Good night, Jennifer Torrey. I'm not doing nothing tomorrow. I might send some laundry out. That's it. That's it. You know that's a good day when all you gotta do is have somebody else do your laundry, and that's the worst thing you got going on. I'm so blessed. I ain't even gonna hold you. Let me see. Good night, Spotum TV. That's right. Ferrari does not have liability waivers. Look. I love a Ferrari. I'm not trying to get in that Ferrari club, though. Who knows how much dick you gotta suck to get in the Ferrari club. I'm good. Good night, Danny Cunningham. Good night, Sarita Robinson. Good night, Tigerlicious. Good night, Nigel. Good night, DELACREMEDELA.